All right, there we go. Hey guys, Zomb Phox here. And today it's time for the second play-by-play live stream of Week 4 of the 2025 UFL season. Of course, we are doing the Battlehawks versus the Renegades today. Putting up the poll, immediately going to pre-fire this one. Looking at this season, I actually do believe this is the first Battlehawks game of the season. Let's see. It is not. Okay, so this is the second one. I forgot that we did do the Week 1 one with the Battlehawks and Roughnecks. So this is the second Battlehawks live stream we're doing this season, and this is actually the third Renegades game we're doing this season. Again, we have done every team except DC, it looks like. I didn't ever actually, stop to think about that, but so far this season we've done every single team except DC, which is pretty wild, but that is actually true. We've done every single team but DC, so today, of course, we are doing the Battlehawks. Going to post on Twitter that I am live right now. Again, this game is a big one. I've talked about it before. This is one that really does matter because both these teams had really, really awful losses this past weekend. And they need a win, right? Either one of these teams loses, they're going to be at a very tough kind of bounce back because they're going to be down, of course, one game in the conference. But most importantly, they're going to be down to one of their conference opponents. So they need to get this win, either if you're the Battlehawks or the Renegades. Again, later today, we have the Birmingham Stallions versus the Houston Roughnecks at 7 o'clock. So, good day of football. Again, yesterday's game was a really solid one in the first half, but then the second half, it didn't really go that well. So, we'll see. Let's see. Sup, MB. Sup, Trevor. Sup, IRC. These past preseason quarterbacks for the Detroit Lions are pretty decent. I remember Martinez and Teamu for sure. Yeah, it's pretty wild how many of these preseason quarterbacks end up we seeing here in the UFL just a couple years later. Let's look at some of the other stuff. I know last night the Mavericks finally got eliminated from the playoffs, which I'm completely okay with. That team did not deserve to be in the playoffs. I'm glad they did not make it. As for the RBC Heritage Open, the big guys haven't started yet, but a couple guys like BH Ann has had a really good day today, -7 on the day. A couple other ones are getting up there, but I mean, we basically know it's like a 5-man race at this point. WrestleMania, Stand and Delivers today, and then, of course, we got some more baseball. Baseball obviously is going on. NBA playoffs itself, I believe, does start today, right? Yes, today we have actual NBA playoff games starting at 1 o'clock with the Bucks-Pacers. And then we have a few other games today, which I will not be watching. I might honestly watch the Clippers-Nuggets game. I don't know about that one, though. Probably not. And the NHL playoffs also start today with the Blues Jets and Avalanche Stars. Those are two. Well, the Avalanche Stars should be a really good series. So we got some stuff going on today, of course. As for this game, it is going to be Manny Wilkins starting. I remember everything right, and I think he's on a bit of a short leash. I think that he basically has like one half to kind of prove that it was just a bad game last week. It wasn't the norm, because we can all agree he looked really bad last week. In that game, the 3 interceptions he threw. So we'll see. Now, this game is in Arlington. Of course, it is Easter Sunday weekend. I know people are already trying to talk about the attendance is going to suck, especially for the Roughnecks game, which it's gonna. I mean, the Houston game is going to have bad attendance. But this one, we'll see. Easter Sunday is always a bad one, but as for the game, in theory, this should be a great game because both these teams have, mainly because of last week, we have legit offensive questions with both teams. St. Louis looked really solid the first 2 weeks, but it was against two very weak teams. The same issue we have with the Michigan Panthers. Michigan Panthers overall looked really solid on offense 3 of their 4 weeks. Those 3 weeks happened to be against the bad team, so we'll see. It's how you got into spring football in the first place, your journey with the leagues. I kind of did a little bit of that in XFL Jim's channel with the video that I did with him, but I could do something about that, mainly about the AAF, because I've always had it, look, I know everybody loves the 2020 XFL. My favorite league when it comes to that era was the AAF. I loved that one, got me into spring football. Birmingham Iron Trent Richardson was a legend. That guy was insane. And then, of course, the Memphis Express legend, Johnny Manziel. I mean, I still remember how big a deal it was when Johnny Football went to the Memphis. And then when he actually played, it was like this huge deal. Like, dude, the AAF was peak, bro. Incredible uniforms, just great teams. What's up, Adam? I was thinking about this. Almost 12 hours within each other are these streams. Like, I think it's about 14 hours ago was when the stream ended yesterday, which is pretty wild to think about how true that is, but yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was not shocked. I mean, when I did my picks video, I know you talked about the over-under earlier. Mine did hit the over because when I did because like I do on my game predictions, I compare them to the betting picks just to do that. And I was right about the over because when I did it was a 35.5 point over. But I agree. I really thought it was going to be a close game, and it looked like it might be for a bit. But man, Memphis, like, yeah, Memphis is pretty much screwed. When you have to take into account that sub Jordan Love Glazer, when you have to take into account that their only touchdown happened because of a defensive penalty, which only happened because of a botched snap by Michigan. Memphis really only scored 3 points that entire game. They had one great drive, which, like I've always said, they'll give you like one or two great drives, and that's about it. And they did give you two. It's just that the second one ended with that insanely whack interception. So, Memphis, it doesn't matter if it's Ken Wisenhunt or Jim Turner, they've been the same team for pretty much 4 weeks. They'll give you legit two great offensive drives, and that's the entire game. The rest of the time, it's not good. And Michigan, they may be 3-1, but as a lot of people would point out, their 3 wins are against the 2 teams that are currently winless, right? They beat Memphis twice, and they beat San Antonio. Now, while I do think San Antonio pulls off the upset tomorrow, if they don't, it still makes Michigan look pretty poor in terms of their record. So, yeah. But I will say, for the sake of this season in the UFL Conference, it would actually be best for the league if the Roughnecks pull off the upset tonight. Because that would make it actually an interesting conference, because then you start asking the question, is Houston actually okay this year? As well as, is Birmingham cooked? Because then you create some drama. Because if Houston loses, right, we all kind of agree that it's going to be the Stallions-Panthers again, right? So for the sake of the league, you want Houston to pull off the upset. And because it would be hilarious to see Curtis Johnson win a game again. But we'll see. Of course, tomorrow's game, Defenders versus Brahmas, should be a good one, but today's game, this is the game of the week to everybody. This is the one that the spread is like, last I checked, it's like St. Louis is a 1-point favorite, which is insane. I can pull up my prediction on this one. I'm pulling it up right now. My score prediction for this game was 20-17, St. Louis winning a very close, low scoring, not super low scoring, but a lower scoring game. That was my prediction for this one, was 20-17 St. Louis. I just had a feeling both offenses would look better this week than they did last week, but would still not be great. 50-50 split in the poll so far. Not too shocked. This is a very tough one to call because because of the fact that it's in Arlington, it makes it pretty hard. Is the news playing right now before the game starts on the same channel? It depends where you are because I'm watching this on local network. So right now for me, there's no news on. It's just something else. But depending where you are, it probably would be news in front of it. Because, I mean, it's on, like, ABC, so, yeah. Battlehawks on Fraud Watch. Yeah, that's the most important thing. If they lose this game, especially if they lose this one bad, it makes their season look really poor. But if they pull this off, it looks like they just had a bad week against DC, and makes DC's defense look even better. 26-19 Gades is Indy's score prediction. We got the 34-28 that Jordan Love Glazer had with Battlehawks, unfortunately, but I could see the upset by the Renegades. Again, this is a pretty good one. So, we'll see who ends up pulling this one off. I think this should be a very fun game. Again, it's an early game again. It's, 11:30 CT, which I know a lot of people really don't like. The fact that this keeps happening where, there's so many of these local games that are just before 12 o'clock p.m. is pretty wild, but yeah. Okay, I'm not sure why I looked up Real Madrid, but I don't need to. Barcelona, they basically just took a lead. That's not good. They beat Celta Vigo. That hurts. Yeah, Madrid's season is cooked. Like, if we somehow beat them in the Copa del Rey, that'd be huge, but I don't see that happening. I think we're cooked. I think Real Madrid's season is done. The Mbappe transfer signing, it hasn't worked out. Like, he may be putting up scores, but, like, it's one of those things where it's like the old saying, too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Or too many chefs in the kitchen, whichever one you call it. Like, the game against Arsenal, that was bad. That was bad. Best QB in the NFL, Jordan Love for me. Why am I not surprised? I don't know. I think it's Joe Burrow. I know people talk about how he has great receivers. Yeah, but a good quarterback is not putting up the stats that Burrow is. Like, Burrow is a great quarterback with great receivers. I think that he is overall the best QB in the league. When it comes to the playoffs, he's been him and Mahomes are the two most consistent playoff performers. That's no disrespect to Jalen Hurts. But the two most consistent playoff performers are Mahomes and Burrow. Because remember, Burrow was that, like, defensive player doing that stupid late hit against the Chiefs in their rematch away from beating Mahomes twice. He's won multiple playoff games both year. It's just insane. Or both years that he's been in the playoffs. Burrow, he's that guy. He is, I think, the best QB. If I could pick one quarterback to be my QB, I would pick Daniels if I had another year. Like, people who say Jaden Daniels, like, bro, slow down. He was incredible, but he has to give you 2 years before you can say that he's the guy you'd pick. I would pick Joe Burrow. How much of an impact without Wade? Been involved a lot, maybe not this year. Coaching at 98 years. I don't think that they're going to be too upset about it. Wade wasn't fully there week 1. He was in the booth, so he wasn't, like, fully there on the sideline anyway. He wasn't there last week, and they had their best overall week of play, so I think they're actually going to be fine without him. Like, yeah, in terms of Wade, fun fact, Wade is older than any NFL head coach right now. Like, I was responding to a comment about the coaches going about how, illnesses and how it's not really common to see it. It's important to know that Ken Wisenhunt, there's only 2 NFL coaches. Remember, there's 32 NFL coaches. Only 2 of them are older than Ken Wisenhunt. None of them are older than Wade Phillips. So seeing them, again, Wisenhunt, we don't know for sure, but seeing them both deal with health issues, you hate to see it, but it's not like it's insanely surprising. Best QB aside from Jordan is Jalen or Josh. I don't know. I can't buy the Jalen Hurts hype train. Like, I think he's a solid tier below the elite guys. It's just hard to look at him and be like, yeah, that's a top tier quarterback. Like, if you have him in your top tier, I'm not gonna fight you on it. Like, it's not like if you have Brock Purdy in tier 2, I'm gonna say no, he needs to be lower. If you have Jalen Hurts in the same tier as like Lamar, Burrow, and them, I'm not gonna fight you on it, but I just wouldn't. But I can get why you would. You know what I mean? Like, it's one that I personally don't agree with, but I don't hate that decision. Whereas, like, some other quarterbacks, people will put them in, like, the tier 2 of quarterbacks, and I'll be like, dude, that's a tier 3 quarterback all day. Like, get me out of there. Like, come on. Who wins today? Well, so far in the poll, we got 55% for the Battlehawks, 45% for the Renegades. I personally picked the Battlehawks to win this game. I think that they're just going to end up pulling it off in the end in a close, low-scoring game or lower-scoring game. I've seen a lot of people, this is the hardest game to pick this week because of the fact that both teams, it's in Arlington, so there's no home field advantage for St. Louis. Both teams looked really bad last week, so yeah. 5-3 in the playoffs and a ring for Jalen and remove Lamar. He's Daniel Jones went in the playoffs. I don't know. It's just Jalen Hurts, man. Like, there's one thing having great receivers like Burrow. Nobody's going to say he has a great O-line. Jalen Hurts is a lot like Brock Purdy in a lot of ways, in a sense that he is not counting very early in his career. The last couple of years, basically since that Super Bowl run, Jalen Hurts has had a borderline God squad around him. He's had arguably the best O-line in all of football. His receiving core might not be as good as a couple teams, but A.J. Brown is almost as good as any other receiver, and Devontae Smith is a damn good wide receiver too. They've always had solid tight ends, and then when you add Saquon to that, it's hard to look at Jalen and be like, yeah, that's an elite quarterback when he's not putting up elite numbers with great talent. That's my whole point with Joe Burrow. Burrow is putting up those top-tier numbers with great talent. Hurts is putting up lesser numbers, not bad numbers. Again, it's still incredible what he's doing, but I just can't. Yeah. Goff, bro. Jared Goff, the ultimate QB right there. Just does what he does. It's wild. Mahomey, bro. That looked a little Mahomey, bro. Isn't that everybody's favorite thing watching an NFL game, especially on Sunday night? Just hearing that throw looked a little Mahomey. Yeah, Mahomes, not always. He's usually had a good O-line, but, like, of course, in the Super Bowl against the Buccaneers, that was, yikes. That game was something else. That O-line performance was one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Like, I feel like I'm in the minority of this. I think that arguably the best Super Bowl Mahomes has played was that one against the Buccaneers. He was incredible. It's just that everybody around him was terrible. He was throwing dots while falling to his literal feet, or falling to his feet. When he was falling down, he would make these incredible throws, and his receivers would just not catch him, and the O-line did nothing. I thought that was his overall best performance, honestly. Like, the first year, probably shouldn't have won Super Bowl MVP. This past year, obviously not the greatest. The other Super Bowl win, I could get it, but yeah. KC peak, no Super Bowl 50s. Okay. Are they on the field yet in your TV? No, I'm at the credits for some random show that was just on, so it should be popping up in about a second, though. Yeah, because, I mean, it's still 12:29, so yeah, it should be popping up in a second now. And there it is. Or should be. Still credit stuff. Showing a commercial to Andor Season 2. I heard Season 1 was really good. We'll see. Time for some UFL action, baby. Let's go. Sup, Kick Surfer. Again, the Renegades, Battlehawks, the poll is still up. Again, it is tied 50-50 right now. Again, I will close that poll basically at kickoff. Again, Manny Wilkins versus Luis Perez. Is Manny going to keep this job, or is he going to get benched during this game, depending on how he plays? Last week was really poor, but the 2 weeks prior, really solid. As for the Renegades, very similar situation since their offense has not looked good after week 1. The past 2 weeks have been really, really rough, so we'll see. I mean, that's a pretty bold stat line. I only say it's pretty bold because so far, just the offense has not been able to put up a lot of touchdowns. Again, the Renegades, their one loss was, of course, to the Stallions. So they are 1-0 in the conference. If they do pull this off, they will be 2-0 in the XFL conference, whereas the Battlehawks be 1-2, which would make it a pretty tough hole for the Battlehawks to climb out of. But they're still both 2-1. The Defenders are 3-0. San Antonio is 0-3. Again, 2 teams of each conference make the playoffs, so we'll end up seeing here. Last night's game, man, it was something else. Or that game, the Panthers, man, poor Memphis. They had that game somewhat close and then just didn't end up working for them. But we'll see. Yeah, me and the announcer are talking about it right now. This is a big game in terms of teams bouncing back because of the fact that neither team looked good last week. The Renegades lost. Like, Battlehawks fans might try to say their loss was awful last week. Dude, the Renegades lost. That was one of the most embarrassing losses in this ultra-modern spring football era. That was a free win for them with how they played, and they just choked. Whereas the Battlehawks, Manny Wilkins just simply was bad last week. But this week is a new week again. Jacob Saylor's on the ground. It did nothing last week. He still was able to be a great receiver or screen pass guy. So for the Battlehawks, they need to get Saylor's back to his form the first 2 weeks of the season where he's running the ball very effectively. Of course, through 2 weeks, he was the only running back playing well. At this point, though, there's been a couple of guys, mainly the Panthers, that have started to come alive a bit, so we'll see. I caught the Renegades plus 110 in a parlay from DraftKings super early. Odds flipped quick. I remember last I checked, the Battlehawks were favorites, but I wouldn't be too shocked if it's changed a bit again. This game being in Arlington, no home field advantage for St. Louis is a big deal for Arlington, but yeah. Poll's still at 50-50. Again, not too shocked. This is a very tough game to call with the 2 teams that are involved in it, so yeah. The Ducks are firing their coach. Okay. Man, I still can't believe Real Madrid's season this year. Like, so many of my teams this year have just been so bad. It's insane. I mean, oh, it's been rough. It's been rough so far. The Mavericks getting rid of Luka for nothing. The Hurricanes are probably going to choke in about, I don't know, T-minus 2 weeks. Come back in week 6. Hurricanes probably get bounced from the playoffs already. We'll see. Someone tell Perez throw it 7 yards downfield, please. Okay. Again, with how it works, in theory, the Battlehawks will be getting the ball first, and the Renegades will be getting it out of half. So we'll see for sure, but that's probably what's going to be with how the home field works with being able to choose to defer. Again, biggest question marks of both these teams is the offense. Yes, technically DC scored a lot of points last week. It was mainly the turnovers by the offense of St. Louis. They had 4 turnovers on the day. Like the defense, you can only expect so much from the defense when that happens. So this is going to be a important battle on offense regards to can either team actually do something on it. And for the St. Louis to just not turn the ball over, but we'll see. I mean, look, pulling up the stats real quick before this game actually does officially kick off. Let's see. When it comes to turnover differential or just turnovers, Arlington has 3 takeaways, so it's not like they're an insane team at doing that. But St. Louis has 4 giveaways, which all of them are pretty much from last week. So we'll see if they can continue if they do end up continuing that. Memphis, though, man, Memphis through 4 weeks not having a single takeaway is insane. I wouldn't even say that. Like, we haven't even seen a single team really run it well back-to-back weeks, aside from St. Louis week 1 and 2, and that was only Sailors. Because, like, a lot of people will say, like, oh, the Renegades, they have a couple guys that are solid, and it's like, yeah, if you have a 70-yard rush, it kind of inflates your rushing totals for, like, 3 weeks. So I wouldn't even say that. Michigan, again, they've only played 1 real team so far. Arguably 2, depending on how San Antonio plays this week. So it's pretty hard to actually say that there's been any good ground games this season outside of the first 2 weeks with Sailors and like the last 2 weeks with Michigan. But who knows? Maybe that starts changing. We've seen some more, higher scoring games. We'll see. Game spread is a pick 'em. Wow, it really did get that close. Not too shocked though. just not at all. ESPN bets. Yeah, if I remember correctly, this is the only game on ABC/ESPN networks this week. All the other games are on like regular Fox. So of course, remember you got the game tonight between the Roughnecks and the Stallions, and then you have the game tomorrow between the Defenders and the Brahmas. So we'll see what ends up happening with all these games. Again, of course, for this one, there is no major coaching thing. There's no major quarterback moves that happen. This is the game that has like no huge changes going on with it. So yeah. Now let's see what this Battlehawks do in this drive. They're going to start this drive at about the 26-yard line after the return. Again, their offense was pretty poor last week. Hopefully it improves this time. I'm going to close the poll, and the poll ended at a direct 50-50 percentage for the Renegades and the Battlehawks, which makes sense with how the pick'em was, makes sense with how a lot of things were. So yeah, Sub G man, I see you here. Yeah, I think it's a good thing you ended up not watching the rest of that Showboats game last night. It was not great, but hopefully this game ends up being a fun one. Let's see what St. Louis does here. Manny Wilkins is in shotgun. 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Motioning his tight end a bit to the backfield with him. Motioning Ja'Cour Pearson behind him. And he is going to do a little screen to Pearson, but that was an awful throw by Manny Wilkins. That was way too far ahead of Pearson. If you're overthrowing Pearson like that, not great. Again, only first down. Still didn't lose the ball, on an interception. So already better than last week, but yeah. Biggest issue with Wilkins last week wasn't even the turnovers, in my opinion, in terms of the interceptions. It was the sacks. He took a couple of really bad sacks last week by holding onto the ball too much. Hopefully that gets improved this week, but we'll see. Again, 2nd and 10 for the Battlehawks now. Let's see what they do here. Manny Wilkins is going to be under center. Again, we don't see that often in the UFL this season. 2 receivers to his right, a couple to his left, motioning one of his receivers right to left. He does hand it off to the receiver who goes to the left, gets to the 30, gets to the 35, gets to the 40, and the 45. Really solid, about like a 17-yard play right there. Love to see that. Sub T-Dog, again, really solid play for the Battlehawks right there. That was a good play right there. Yeah, G-Man using those team emojis. About to go into work, but I'll be watching kind of. Hey, if you can watch as much as you can, that'd be cool. I mean, if not, I hope you enjoy work today. I mean, I know some people had like this weekend off because of Good Friday and some don't, but yeah. First 10 for the Battlehawks here. Manny Wilkins is in shotgun with 1 man behind him. 2 receivers to his right, couple to his left. Ball is snapped. Fakes the handoff, looks over the middle of the field, looks to his right. He's going to throw a deep shot. It is going to the 10. It is going to be incomplete. That was actually a well-placed ball. Not even well. That was a great placed ball by Wilkins. But solid coverage. Just a good play. Well, it's for Trevor, to get an additional team emoji, we need to get, I believe it's like 4 more community members, I believe. Because with community members, it just goes like pretty like slowly. Like it's exponential in terms of the growth when it comes to that. I believe that's how many we probably need. Emoji. Yeah, 4 more members and we get another emoji. Ball is snapped. They pitch it to Sailors, who runs to the right. And he gets tackled out of bounds for about a 1-yard loss. Yeah, we need 4 more community members. We can get a 7th team emoji. Because it's all about the community members right now. So that's kind of how that one gets determined. And then I think the next one is probably like 6 more. It's something like that. Yeah, the 7th one, I don't know if it'll be DC or Arlington. Probably have some sort of poll out for whenever we get to that in the future, but we'll see. 3rd and 11 for the St. Louis Battlehawks here. Again, they are at the 43-yard line in their own territory. They need to get to the 44 or the 46-yard line in Arlington territory. Let's see if they can do it here. Motion sailors to the right, ball snap. It is going to be a QB draw, but Wilkins just straight up slips and loses the ball. They're calling it a fumble. Arlington ball. They're at the 20, the 15, the 10. 5. Touchdown Arlington by Chris Odom, I believe. Manny Wilkins may have gotten hurt. We need to see a replay on all this. Oh, this is bad. Chris Odom with a touchdown. Wilkins is down. That's not good. He is down. He is in a lot of pain right now. That's not good. That does not look good for Manny Wilkins right there. He is still down. Ooh, when you see the opposing team's players kneeling next to you, you know that's not good. I mean, on the initial, they haven't showed a replay yet, but on the initial, it looks like it's an ankle injury because the initial viewing, he went to do a quarterback draw, he immediately stepped back right, and then you have to push forward. When he pushed forward, he just almost immediately came down. That's not good. They're gonna show the replay here. Ooh, yeah, it's like on his right leg. It looked like. It just completely gave out on him. It could be something else. Might be an ankle. Might be something else that could be worse. Hopefully not. You're hoping it's an ankle injury because if that's an Achilles, that's really bad, and that could have been because that's kind of how you see a lot of Achilles injuries look. Is something like that. That's bad right there for the Battlehawks. Going to commercial break now. Not good right there. Man, that's not bad, especially like just after they just did the interview with Wilkins saying new week, new opportunity. That is awful to see. Again, you never want to see a quarterback get hurt like that. It's rough to see something like that. Yeah, Max Duggan's definitely going to come in right there. Yeah, when you go to commercial after an injury, you know it's something bad. Especially if they come back and he's going to be on the card. I'm trying to see what else is going on here. Fire Nico still trending. Yeah, it looks like a lot of people are thinking he legit popped his Achilles there. I mean, for those of you who don't fully know, when it comes to injuries, the worst kind of injury is a non-contact injury. Because when it's a non-contact injury, it's bad. Because if you get hit, it could legit be anything. But when you are just running and you see them fall down and they're hurt, it is almost always an IR type of injury. And that's awful to see. Yeah, I mean, losing Wilkins, that's going to suck for them. Cooked, we'll see, but that's definitely rough to see. I'd say Max Duggan could take the reins okay. I think he could, but man, you hate to see that right there. Again, for those of you just joining, we're still in commercial break. Manny Wilkins, you can only say what you can say, but it looks like he may have just tore his Achilles on one of his legs or had some sort of injury to his right leg. Tried to do a quarterback draw. When he did the step up, to change his direction to go forward, he just immediately fell down. It was just bad. Choctaw Stadium. Turf or grass? I believe it's turf. No, it is. Choctaw has real grass, it looks like. Yeah, they use Bermuda grass. So it is grass, it looks like. So it is grass. They're back on both teams are on there. Yeah, this is a season-ending injury for Manny Wilkins. I would be stunned if this isn't. You hate to see this. I mean, you really wanted to see if he could bounce back from last week. Again, it was still early. Like I said, he threw a deep pass. It may have been incomplete, but it was a great pass by Wilkins. Awful to see. They're talking to Mike P right now. This is about the play in question. talking about whether or not he gave himself up when he fumbled and all that. So it looks like it. So this is a huge blow for St. Louis, obviously for Wilkins in the season. But because he got hurt the way he did, Mike P said there's no way to actually overturn that call because you can't say he was giving himself up since he was going forward. And because the play was not blown dead, Arlington legitimately just got a free touchdown. That is insane. Huge break for Arlington and a massive just insult to injury for St. Louis right there. And Max Duggan, of course, is going to be coming in at quarterback for them now. Perez drops back to throw, looks over to his right, throws it quick. It's going to be caught for a 2-point conversion, 8-0, Arlington over St. Louis. That is not what you want to score a touchdown on. I mean, that's a bad one. Like, yes, it is the correct call in a technical sense, but we all know that's just awful to see right there. You do hate to see that. Result. So 8-0 Arlington over St. Louis with 12.5 minutes left. Chris Odom gets credited with the fumble recovery touchdown. Hate to see it like that. Really do. I mean, man, what a... It's hard to really talk about that start and be like anything about it, but rough. So we're going to see some Max Duggan time. He's going to be in as legit quarterback this time, not just, coming in a little bit, but yeah. Will be interesting to see how he plays. Again, the Battlehawks, in case you haven't been following everything, Chavin Cordero, the quarterback they drafted that was originally their QB3, ended up getting hurt. So they don't even have their original quarterback 3 this season. Returns up to the 30, returns up to the 40, and he gets to about the 43-yard line. So a very solid return for the Battlehawks. So if you're the Battlehawks, you really don't want Duggan to get hurt here, because then your third-string quarterback isn't even the one you initially had, so he doesn't have as much experience with this team as Cordero would, but sucks to see. So time to see what Max Duggan can do here. 1st and 10, Max Duggan is in shotgun. One man behind him in the backfield. 2 receivers to his right, 2 to his left. Fakes the really bad fake with the handoff, but he ends up getting about 7 yards anyway. They completely mismanaged that. He literally handed it off, or fake handed it off to nobody, but still made it work, gained about 7 yards on the play. Solid run by Duggan right there. Again, a lot of people don't remember he is somebody who can run the football. He is one of those sneaky, athletic kind of quarterbacks. Obviously, he's not like Manny Wilkins when it comes to running the ball, but he is still solid. 2nd and 3, Max Duggan in shotgun. Motions one receiver from the right to the left. Hands it off to Sailors, who gets hit immediately, but still ends up breaking it to gain about 1 yard on the play. Solid run by him. Looked like they were going to lose about half a yard. Ended up gaining a yard. Still not a great one, but 3rd and short, borderline 4-down territory, depending how many yards you get here. If you run it and get about like 1.5 yards, you might go for it, just because of where you are on the field. You're not in no man's land, but you're pretty close to no man's land. 3rd and 2 for St. Louis. Max Duggan is in shotgun. Motions a receiver from the left to the right. One man in the backfield with him to his right. Ball is snapped. Max drops back, looks to his right, looks over the middle of the field, throws it over the middle. It is going to be caught for a 1st down, then an extra 2.5 yards. Solid play right there. Yeah, that was a wild fake handoff by Duggan for sure. 1st and 10 for St. Louis here. Again, we still got about 10.5 minutes left in the 1st quarter. Again, they're past midfield. They're getting close to field goal range. Of course, with Hot Rod, one of the best kickers in the league, they have the ability to kick the ball relatively far. Ball is snapped. Duggan looks to his left. He's going to throw it to his left. It's going to be caught at the 40. Going to be about a solid 4, maybe even call it 5-yard gain for the Battlehawks right there. Lil Brock Purdy, okay. 2nd down for the Battlehawks. again, so far this drive's looking pretty solid. They had a really incredible return on the kickoff, and they've just gotten a couple of really nice plays back to back to back. So let's see if they can keep this going. New score prediction 30-17. Second and 4 for St. Louis. They did call it a 6-yard gain. It was closer to 2nd and 5, but still. Ball is snapped by Duggan. He pitches it to Sailors. Makes a couple of moves, cuts to the middle, and ends up getting about 3 yards. This is going to be about... Again, this is going to be... It should have been 2nd and 5, but this is going to be about 2nd and 3, 2nd and 2 for the Battlehawks. Again, at this point, you are in that, long but doable field goal range, and you're also in the area where you could go for it on 4th down, so we'll end up seeing what they do if they do not get this 3rd down. Of course, last night, man, the Showboats could not get a 3rd down conversion to save their lives. They were just abysmal on it. They were at one point like 0-8. They finished like 1-10. It was just awful. Let's see what the Battlehawks can do here at 3rd and 2. Again, 3rd and 2, yeah. This is a long 3rd and 2, though. Motion run receiver from the right to the left. Ball snapped. They hand it off directly in the middle, and he's going to be tackled immediately for a 0-yard gain. At this point, you would just kick it here. If you gained a yard, I would debate going for it, but at 4th and 2, I think just take the 3 points. Solid initial drive from Max Duggan. Just take the points. Again, Arlington's offense has only seen the field for the extra point conversion, so you have to at least get a feel for how good your defense is going to play against them, but let's see. They are going to be kicking this with Rodrigo Blankenship. Let's see if he can make this kick. This is going to be a very long field goal. This is a 55-yarder, but he is going to be kicking from the middle of the field. So he just needs to kick this one straight. Let's see if he can do this. Kick is up. It's going directly in the middle. Beautiful kick by Hot Rod. It is good. 8-3 Renegades over the Battlehawks. Great kick by Rodrigo right there. Again, for his first drive, that was a solid one by Duggan. It's a shame that that 3rd down run wasn't able to really get anything, but overall, though, very solid opening drive for the Battlehawks. Or opening drive not counting, of course, the actual opening drive, so yeah. And Taco Charlton, by the way, is in the game. Of course, that was a big one. Taco Charlton was the big player that they signed. He was one of the league's best sackers last season. Now he is back with the UFL, but this time he's with the Renegades, so yeah. Talking Hakeem Butler, of course, he is inactive again this week, so another week of not having one of your best receivers. But, of course, this is still a really great receiving room, so yeah. Yeah, a lot of tweets about the Manny Wilkins injury right now. Not what you want to see. Let's see. Happy Easter, bro. It's Saturday. Like, come on. I'm going over here. Bad fun. Usually have you synced with TV, but I have Newcastle game on. Who's Newcastle playing today? I have not watched as much Premier League as I have I did last year. Oh, they're playing Aston Villa. Okay. Wow. First or second minute goal. That's actually wild. I haven't watched as much Premier League as I did last year. Just kind of haven't. It's one of those things where, like, same with hockey. I just haven't watched as much as I did last year, despite, like, having no reason not to. But, yeah. Taco's back. Yeah, Max Duggan football is back. Yes, sir. Max Duggan, Mad Max, bro. That TCU legend. Seeing him back. Taco Charlton, bro. Taco's insane. EPL's right up there for NFL. Yeah, I mean, as a Real Madrid fan, dude, it's my least favorite thing about Real Madrid is having to actually watch La Liga football or football. Because, dude, La Liga is rough compared to the Premier League. Like, whenever people talk about how flopping is a huge deal in soccer, they're not talking about soccer overall. They're talking about La Liga. Because La Liga flopping, dude, it's awful. Horrid, but yeah. Yeah, Mole 10, seeing you here. Of course, this game should be a fun one so far. Again, it really is an awful injury for Manny. I fully agree with Y4J. I really hope that it's not, like, it's probably an Achilles rupture. I hope it isn't, but I think it is. But we'll probably find out during this game or a little after this game, but we'll see. So let's see what happens with this game right now. Of course, the Renegades first showing the young Bob Stoops is wild, dude, all the way back in 2000. I've never been a huge combine guy personally. I just kind of, hear the numbers sometimes. It's pretty much it. Bob Stoops of the Renegades. Again, him and Nolan, everybody kept saying that they're going to leave the league. They're going to leave the league, and looking like two of the guys that are just going to keep staying. Gotta love it. So again, the Renegades offense has not actually had a drive this game. Again, they only came out on offense to do the extra point play, but let's see what they do this time. Kickoff is up. Up to the 5, up to the 10, up to the 15, the 20, the 25, the 30. A bit short of the 30. It's going to be about to the 29. Because he flopped. Okay. Counting by fives, bruh. Anthony Beck saying it's sick. It happened. I mean, I agree. Whenever it's a non-contact injury, I mean, it's like one of those freak accident kind of things, and it's just awful to see for a player. Because, like, especially non-contact injuries, usually the ones that can be career-threatening, and it's like, dude, you didn't even get hit by a guy low or something. You just tried to make a football move, and it sucks. Perez is by himself in the backfield. 2 receivers to his right, 2 to his left with his tight end a bit back. He's motioning his running back to his left in the backfield with him. Motioning a receiver left to right. Ball is snapped. Hands it off. Makes a spin move, but ends up losing about 1.5 yards on the play right there. Not a great opening play for the Renegades right there. Lost about 1.5 yards there. 2024 UFL passing yards and TD leader. Love how they show that and immediately go back to the play. Perez is in shotgun. Ball snap. Looks over the middle of the field. Going to throw it to the left. It's going to be caught for about a 7.5 yard gain by the Renegades. Very solid pass play right there. Third down for the Renegades. Going to be 3rd and 3. Let's see if they can pull this one off. Perez is in 5 wide right now. In shotgun 5 wide right now. Let's see if they can do this. Motioning one of the receivers from the right to the left. Ball is snapped. Looks over to his right. Got a quick throw. It's going to be caught for a first down. Makes a spin move. Still going. Gets to about the 45 and gets tackled at about the 46 yard line. Very solid play on 3rd down for the Renegades right there. Going to be a nice first down for Arlington. Just a really solid play for Arlington right there. Arlington 1-1 on 3rd downs. Finally, at least throws it 7 yards downfield. Okay. 8-3 still the score again. About 6 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first quarter. Perez is in shotgun. 1 man to his left in the backfield with him. Ball is snapped. Slightly delayed handoff. And he gets tackled immediately. Another bad rush. I mean, this is something we keep seeing this season in the UFL. Runs up the middle that just gets stuffed immediately. Final score, am I late? What? 8-3? Hold up. Perez is in shotgun, 2nd and 9. Ball is snapped. Hands it off to the left. Ballage gets to the 50 yard line. About a 4 yard gain there, but there is a flag. Some pointing might be offensive holding here. We'll see. Yep, going to be offensive holding on the Renegades. Big penalty against Arlington there. They actually gained a few yards there, but yeah. Backing up. Yeah, bad for the Renegades right there. Again, penalties. They're not as bad as San Antonio when it comes to penalties, but they're up there when it comes to being a penalized team. They usually take them at very bad situations, and this is another example of that. A bad penalty to take here. You do not want to give St. Louis the ball back if they just actually scored, so 2nd and 19, that's pretty rough. Perez is in shotgun, 1 man to his right in the backfield with him. 2 receivers to his right, 2 to his left. Ball is snapped, looks to his right, gonna throw it quick. Almost a potential interception, but it ends up being an incomplete pass. Going to be 3rd and 19 for the Renegades. Great defensive play by the Battlehawks there. Showing the replay again. That could have been intercepted. If he had jumped the route just slightly earlier, he would have been able to get that interception. Great play by the defense, though. 3rd and 19 for the Renegades. Let's see what they do here. I wouldn't be shocked if just a run or a screen. Again, going for a first down. Maybe. We'll see. 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left, running back to his left in the backfield with him. Two seconds left on the clock. Ball is snapped. Looks over the middle of the field. Throws it quick. It's going to be caught at the 40 and about a 2-yard. And it's a fumble. Recovered by Arlington. But they end up losing another couple of yards. They're going to end up gaining about maybe 2 yards on the play. Again, great play by the Battlehawks defense, forcing out the punt. Again, St. Louis getting some momentum back right now. Love to see that. Let's see what they can pull off on their next drive after the punt. Again, hopefully you don't see what happened with Michigan last night. Of course, if you didn't see that game last night, Michigan's long snapper over just completely missed the punter. Thought he was going to move a bit. Didn't move, so he just threw it to literally nobody, and the Panthers ended up punting it for about a 5-yard punt. It was insane. Punt is up by King. It looks to be a solid punt. Gets recovered at about the 20, up to the 25, up to the 30, up to the 35. Pearson gets to the 42-yard line. Another great return, but the ball is out, it looks like. It's going to be Arlington's ball, looks like, unless they call him down. They're calling it a fumble and Arlington ball. Another awful break for St. Louis. The call on the field is a Pearson fumble recovered by Arlington. That looks like a fumble, too, on the replay. Sal Cannella forcing the fumble. That's insane. Man, so Arlington gets a massive break after that very rough drive right there. They're going to get it now past midfield. That's insane. Yeah, and this is rough for St. Louis right now. Ball is snapped by Perez. Looks to the right. Looks over the middle of the field. He's going to throw it deep in the middle. It's going to be a wide open Sal Cannella who gets it down to the 13-yard line. It went from bad to worse for the Battlehawks. Oh, that's true. Battlehawks having a cursed game. Sal's getting payback for that bad officiating call against Birmingham. Self-destruction. Yeah, that is insane. I mean, those are 2 fumbles for St. Louis already. Again, last week they lost because they had 4 turnovers. And they already have half of that, and we're still in the first quarter. 1st and 10 for Arlington here. They are at the 14-yard line in the red zone. Ball is snapped. Hands it off to Ballage, who gets about 3 yards on the ground right there. Solid gain for him on first down. You can't even say they're missing Manny. Their offense didn't even get to go back on the field. I mean, it's insane. They've had 1 drive where they actually got to do something, and they ended up getting a field goal. It's insane how this is working out for St. Louis. 2nd and 7 for Arlington. Doing a bit of a trick play right here. No Perez on the field. Ball is snapped. Fake the handoff, run to the left. Does a little bit of a pitch play, and it works for the first down. Really interesting play call right there, and it worked. Danny Hunter, that was a cool play design right there. Sal Cannella got tired of being the one who always fumbles. Yeah, he had to make somebody else feel that. That's for sure right there. I mean, very interesting play design that ended up working really well. Especially that last pitch. That was a really nice one right there. Again, first down for Arlington. Let's see if they can get a touchdown here. They're doing almost the exact same thing. This time they do have their backup QB in right now instead of Perez. Again, trying to do some of these weird T-bone formation kind of deal. They hand it off, and it is going to be stopped for about a 1-yard gain. Memphis versus Renegades flashbacks. 2nd and goal for the Renegades now. Again, they still got Perez on the sideline trying to do some of these, weird packages that they can do with Allers and a quarterback. So let's see what Holton can do. Again, T-bone formation once again. Bit of motion, going back to a more normal, traditional formation in the red zone. Fake the handoff. Holton runs to the left. He's going to throw it, and it is going to be an inaccurate pass. If he had thrown that a bit farther to the left, it would have been caught by Seth Green for a touchdown. Instead, incomplete pass, 3rd and goal for the Renegades. What a game so far. Let's see what they do here. Perez is in shotgun. He is back on the field with one man in backfield with him. He does a little pitch, and he almost gets tackled for a 3-yard loss. Instead, it is going to be a touchdown for Javonte Payton. The Renegades are up 14-3. Wow. Wow, that's not good for St. Louis. They almost stopped him a few yards shy. Instead, not what you want to see right there if you're a Battlehawks fan. This is not going well right now for the Battlehawks. It's just everything's just getting worse for them. Just awful for them so far. Again, they need to have a good offensive drive after this one. Ball is snapped. Perez throws to the right. It is going to be caught, and he's still on his feet. He may have gotten it in the second effort. They're calling it good. That is going to be 16-3 Arlington over St. Louis. That is insane that he ended up getting that one. That's just not what you want to see right there. That's rough. That's rough right there for St. Louis. Again, 2 fumbles are how St. Louis have been able to, how Arlington's been able to score. Getting the ball in incredible field position, making a couple good plays, and getting the touchdown, and then that one earlier in the game with Chris Odom. Not great for St. Louis. 16-3 is the score right now, Arlington over St. Louis. Renegades are on fire right now. This is how you lose games. Ain't that the truth? Luis is learning how to throw down the field. Okay. Man, that is bad for St. Louis. Again, their offense, their first drive actually did look solid. Again, their first drive with Max Duggan at quarterback looked solid. They did have to kick a field goal, but it was overall a nice drive. Let's see if they can do that again. Hopefully they don't fumble the ball here in the kickoff, because that would be just, oh my gosh. Again, 16-3. A lot of points for a first quarter right now. Kick is up. When we recovered at the 10, up to the 15, the 20, the 25. Gets tackled at about the 25-yard line. Let's see if St. Louis can do something here with a minute and a half left in the first quarter. Interviewing Javonte Payton on the sideline right now. Third season with the Renegades. Of course, was with the team when they won the championship a couple years ago. First and 10 for the Battlehawks. Max Duggan is in shotgun. One man behind him in the backfield. One receiver to his left, 3 to his right. Drops back throw. Quick throws right over the middle. It's going to be caught for about a 4-yard gain. It's a very solid opening play. You know, get about half your yards you need. Solid play for the Battlehawks right there. Second down, St. Louis is going to be about 2nd and 6. They might call it. Yep, 2nd and 6 for the Battlehawks. Let's see if they can pull something off here. Max is once again in shotgun. One man to his left in the backfield with him. Ball is snapped. Hands it off. Sailors makes a couple of moves, but gets tackled immediately. Maybe Max should have held on to that one. They might even lose about a yard on that play right there. $11.5-point favorites is wild. Aaron Dolan, bro. Quit yapping, as the joke would say. Let's see what they can do here. They're lining up in 5 wide. Max Duggan is obviously in shotgun. 3 receivers are to his right, 2 to his left. 3rd and 7. They did call it a yard loss on the play by the Battlehawks. Ball snap. Duggan drops back throw. Looks over the middle of the field. He's going to throw it. It is a beautiful pass. It's going to be caught up to the 45-yard line. So far, Duggan is looking really solid these first couple of drives that he's been in. Great pass. Great catch right there. Just a solid play on that. So we're going to be heading into the second quarter now. Score is 16-3 Arlington over St. Louis. Max throwing motion looks at Anthony Brown. Hey, but at least he's throwing it to his receivers, unlike Anthony Brown. Good old AB. What a game so far. And so far, Manny Wilkins, if you're a Battlehawks fan, man, you're just glad that Max Duggan's coming in and looking really solid so far. Again, it's still early. It's only been his second drive, but as I've always talked about, when you're a backup quarterback and you come in initially, it's usually a lot easier for you to actually kind of do something, in a sense that, you know, you don't have a lot of film on you when it comes to the team you're on, obviously being the Battlehawks. And I mean, so far through 2 drives, or a drive and a half, Duggan is looking really solid. So let's see if we can keep this up. Maybe they can score a touchdown here. They need to get some extra points on the board. Again, yes, a field goal. A field goal doesn't even make it a one-score game. You basically need a touchdown here. You do not want to let Arlington have another chance to just keep this. I mean, you got to score a touchdown here. Field goal, it's still points, but we'll see. Just not a great start for St. Louis, obviously. This game is not great. But maybe they can keep something up and actually get better. Yeah, Max Duggan, again, he's looking really solid in this game, all things considered. It's pretty hard to look at him and be like, man, he's doing something incorrect. He's looking solid. It's just, got to kind of keep it up kind of deal. But we'll see. I would assume he can. We'll see, though. Trying to see if there's anything updating right now. Any updates about any of the situation? Not seeing anything. Overall stats in the game, by the way, while we're in the quarter. Both teams are very similar on yards, just like a 10-yard difference. But pretty much every stat is almost identical, except for, obviously, the turnover differential, with St. Louis having 1 extra. For some reason, the UFL site, and how not great it is, has it as 2 fumbles with only 1 loss, despite the fact that, you know, they lost 2 fumbles. But, yeah. Duggan 4 for 31 yards, really solid stat line. Perez 5 of 6 for 51 yards. Could be one of those games, could be a legit passing battle. We'll see, though. As special teams, obviously, it's been, you know, what we kind of expected, but yeah. And we're back for the game. Talking about Max Duggan right now, showing his pre-season interview, basically. Back when he was with Max Duggan, or back when he was with TCU, I should say, when he had that incredible season. Finished, I believe, like, finalist. I think he got 4th on the Heisman race, but was up there, so yeah. Again, let's see what they can do here. Again, solid so far. Let's see if they can keep this drive up, try and score a touchdown, make this game closer. Again, you score a touchdown, you're probably going to go for 2. Again, it makes it a 5-point game, which is pretty weird, but it's not really worth it to go for 3 at all this early, but yeah. In shotgun, 1 man to his left in the backfield. Looks over the middle of the field, going to throw a quick little pass to his RB, who gets about 1.5 yards on the play. Not an incredible first down play, but at least he got a couple yards there, didn't lose anything. Again, a touchdown is needed, but if you have to kick a field goal, it is still a field goal, so we'll see. 2nd and 8, so they're going to call it a 2-yard gain, but it's like a longer 2nd and 8, so yeah. They did give him a decent spot there. Duggan is in shotgun, 1 man to the left in the backfield with him. 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Ball is snapped. Fakes the handoff, and he's going to run it, but he gets sacked for about a 7-yard loss. Not a great play right there, just did not work out. Big loss for the Battlehawks, and that is a huge one. They were somewhat close, I mean, not like super close, but they were less than about 15 yards away from field goal position. Now they got to get a first down, have any sort of hope of scoring. Not great. Again, with where you were on the field, if you just gained like 7-ish yardage, you would be in potential 4-down territory. Now that you're at 3rd and 14, you got to go for that first down here. Let's see what they do here. Lining up in 5 wide. Max is in shotgun. 3 receivers to his left, 2 to his right. Ball is snapped. Looks to his right, looks on the middle of the field. Going to throw a deep shot to the right side of the line of the field. It is a very underthrown pass, and it gets intercepted by Arlington. That is what you would call an arm punt right there. Just a deep, deep throw. Honestly, might have even been better than a punt. So, I mean, it was a bad throw. He way undershot that one. If he threw that one farther, that could have been a touchdown. So, sucks for them, but, yeah. Another turnover for St. Louis. Again, showing the replay, that was just a bad throw by Duggan. He way underthrew that one. If he throws that about 15, 10-ish yards farther downfield, that's a touchdown. Sucks to see that from Duggan right there. Again, 16-3, Arlington's ball again. third turnover on the day for St. Louis, which you hate to see. Yeah, man, St. Louis, man, this is rough. The amount of turnovers, I mean, we all know the NFL stat about 5 turnovers. That 5 turnovers is like a stupid low win percentage if you get that. St. Louis might hit that by the end of the first half. Perez in shotgun, ball is snapped, hands it off, run up the middle to the right by Dede, who gets about 3 yards on the carry. Interviewing Abrams, who just got the INT. What a play, man. That was insane. Actually insane. Or Chris Claybooks, my bad. Second and 7. Perez is in shotgun. One man to his left in the backfield with him. Ball is snapped. Fake the handoff. Looks to throw. Throws as he gets hit. And because he's throwing as he gets hit, it's a terrible throw. Incomplete. Going to be 3rd and 7. Let's see if St. Louis can stop them here on 3rd down. Force a 3 and out. That'd be huge for them. Let's see. Showing Max Duggan on the sideline. Again, it's rough that you lost Manny Wilkins to that. And now that you don't have Cordero as your 3rd stringer. Yikes. 3rd and 7 for the Renegades. 2 receivers going to the right, 2 going to the left. Talking to the O-line some. In shotgun, running back to the left with him in the backfield. And looks like they're going to call a timeout here by Arlington. Yeah, looks like there's some communication issues going on with the O-line right there. Just call a timeout. So 2 timeouts left for Arlington, I would assume. Max going deep, underthrown is picked. Yeah, that was a bad throw by Duggan. That would have been a touchdown. That's the worst part. Like, at least it was an arm punt in a lot of ways, right? Because of the fact that a punt probably would have gotten back to like the 20 or something, so at least like you can take some solace in that, but it's still another interception. It's another turnover by St. Louis, and it's just, that's not good right there. We'll say it's a bit of a shame that we're not seeing Manny trending. I know it would be suck for why, but it is what it is. But yeah, what a game. It's a shame that this is happening right now. Dude, the Battlehawks, this could be rough. Losing Manny, this game so far. Remember, I thought St. Louis was going to win a low-scoring game. Dude, Arlington might just put up something insane. That's bad. I know they did a lot of ground touchdowns, but that's an awful stat line. 1 TD to 4 interceptions. That's rough. That's something you do not want to see ever. NBA playoffs. Will not be watching that much. It's hard to justify watching the NBA playoffs. Pacers are beating the Bucks right now, but let's put up what I actually care about. Who is winning the PJ event right now? Okay, I did not check when the tee times were for these guys, by the way. Okay, so Bradley and Fitzpatrick are already -2 both. Okay. Yeah, I have a feeling Justin Thomas is going to choke. I don't know why, but I got that feeling. Love to see Morikawa win again. It's been a while since he's gotten a W. Or Scotty. One of those two. Because then Scotty could justify being #1 golfer in the world because he ain't the #1 golfer in the world right now. We all know that's Rory McIlroy, but hey, he's officially it, so is what it is. Still a commercial break for the timeout. Again, just not looking good for St. Louis. This has been a very rough game for them. Renegades versus Defenders, XFL Championship game, it's official. It could be. Like I said, the biggest issue with St. Louis is the fact that their other loss is to DC. So now you have a 2-0 team in their conference with the Renegades versus a 1-2 team with the Battlehawks. So if you're St. Louis, even if you do beat Arlington or DC in the rematch, you're not getting 2-0 ahead of them. You're tied. So your conference record is going to matter more, and it just hurts when you already have a loss. So, and if you have 2 losses, yikes. So it's a shame because we want to see these playoff races be close, but pending how next week goes as well with Battlehawks, Michigan. Like if this score holds and the Renegades win, and if St. Louis loses to Michigan next week, we basically know the 4 playoff teams, all things considered, which you hate to see that early, but we won't know for sure until next week, obviously. I mean, if Houston pulls off the upset today, the UFL conference is still wide open. If St. Louis wins next week and let's say Arlington loses, it's still wide open, but not looking good for St. Louis right now. But maybe they can get a stop here on third down on the Renegades, get the ball back, try and get some points on the board. Again, Arlington does get the ball after half, which is important to remember. Of course, Michigan was not able to really do a ton with that, but that's something to note. I think I mentioned at some point that Max Duggan was not going to be good. I mean, so far, it's like the short passes, he's very accurate, very solid, but that one deep throw, that was a really bad deep pass. 3rd and 7 for the Renegades. Perez is in shotgun, 2 receivers to his right, 2 to his left. 1 running back with him in the backfield to his left. Motions Day to the right. Ball is snapped, looks over to the right side of the field. He's going to throw for a first down. It is going to be caught and then up to about the 43-yard line. Great play by the Renegades right there. Great pass by Perez is what you wanted to see more, but there is a flag on the field. This could be bad for Arlington. Let's see what this flag is. Might be on the offense, it sounds like. Pass interference on the offense. So St. Louis gets a big break there. There's going to be a very tough third down now for Arlington having to redo this one. Oh, it's holding on the offense. My apologies. Holding on Arlington, still a big penalty to take. Again, like I said earlier this game, the biggest issue isn't how many penalties Arlington takes, it's when they take them. They always take penalties in these awful situations. This is what they've done pretty much all year, and that's what's killed them. And they just did another one right there. 16-3 Arlington over St. Louis. 3rd and 17. Again, St. Louis needs to stop them here. Thanks to the arm punt, it could actually end up benefiting them with the field position battle instead of punting it, which probably would have gotten Arlington the ball at like 25. So, I mean, if they stop them here, honestly, it doesn't look too bad they did that, bad interception. Granted, it should have been a touchdown, but you know what I mean. And let's see, Bob Stoops is challenging that penalty did not happen. Let's see if he gets this. So time to review this, see if it gets overturned. If not, it's going to be bad for them. Doesn't look like this is going to work. Yeah, that was a bad challenge by Stoops right there. That was a pretty obvious one when you show the replay, especially. It just makes it look even worse. It just looks like he extended his arm, pushed him back. So Arlington is going to lose another timeout, meaning they're down to 1 timeout for the half, despite there still being 12 minutes left in the half, and they will not be able to challenge later in the game. Bad challenge by Arlington. Huge break for St. Louis once again. Bad for Arlington right there. Huge break again for St. Louis. Arlington losing another timeout and losing their ability to challenge the rest of the game. Huge for St. Louis. 3rd and 17, Arlington. Yeah, and score is still 16-3. Arlington over St. Louis here. Yeah, that was a bad penalty, or bad. That was a bad penalty to take, and that was also a very bad challenge. 3rd and 17. Perez is going to be lining up in 5 wide, so he is in shotgun. 3 receivers are to his right and 2 to his left. Let's see what they do here. Trying to draw somebody off sides. Ball snap. Perez drops back throw. Looks to the middle of the field, throws just a quick pass, and it's going to be about a 2.5-yard gain. So, in the end, thanks to the defense, it actually makes the interception not look too terrible. Again, you're saying that it was incomplete, which it should have been a touchdown. But it actually makes it look decent, because if you punted, they would have gotten the ball back probably around the 20 to the 30-yard line. Instead, they got it, in like the 10-yard line. So, overall for that. Again, St. Louis, man, they got to put some points on the board, especially Arlington getting the ball at half. But right now, this could be very good for them. They're having to punt out of their own end zone. The punt is up. It is going to be recovered initially at about the 28-yard line. Incredible punt by King. Pearson is trying to run, and he gets tackled immediately at the 30-yard line. So, in the end, thanks to a great punt by King, The field position battle is not being won by St. Louis. Again, it's why having a great punter is a big deal. Arlington, they have a great punter, and it's working well for them. So let's see what St. Louis can do here. Hopefully this drive ends up better than the last one. Again, so far, 3 turnovers for them is insane. That is awful to take, 3 bad turnovers. With one of them being just a super unlucky one. First and 10, Duggan is in shotgun. Sailors to his right in the backfield. 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Ball is snapped. Hands it off to Sailors, who runs up the middle and gets a solid 6.5-yard gain on the play. Really solid play for the Battlehawks right there. Again, there's going to be about 11 minutes left in the half once they call this next play or play this next play. Solid play for the Battlehawks right there. 2nd and 4 for the Battlehawks. 1 man in the backfield with Duggan. 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Ball is snapped. Hands it off to Sailors again, who runs up the middle again and gets stopped about a yard shy of the first down. Now you're in this weird scenario. Do you run it a third straight time, or do you try and do some little pass play? Usually on like a 3rd and 1, I say run it. But because you just did back-to-back run plays, it's about a 1. Battlehawks are absolutely disappointing me, lol. This ain't good. Yeah, that's for sure. It ain't looking good for them. I mean, it's sad how it is looking for them, but yeah. But, you know, maybe they can get a first down here at 3rd and 2. If they do, they can maybe put something. But, yeah, these turnovers, man, they're killing the Battlehawks. Back-to-back weeks of just awful turnovers. 3rd and 2 looks like they might be passing here. Duggan is in shotgun. They do hand it off to Sailors again, who looks like he did get the first down. That's a big, big play for St. Louis. That initial stoppage by the ref looks really shy. I think they're going to review that and they're going to call it a first down. But we'll see. Just tuning in, didn't know. They weren't starting Wilkins. Oh, no, Wilkins is out for the season. It's not confirmed, but it looks like Wilkins tore his Achilles or ruptured his Achilles. He was doing a quarterback draw. He went to do, you know, what you normally do to, you know, do the step back, then push forward, and on the push forward, he just completely fell down. It looks like he's out for the year. So, yeah, he was starting, and it looks like he's out for the year now. It was a first down, passes thrown, incomplete pass on the Battlehawks. No, this happened like earlier. It literally happened on the first drive for the Battlehawks. It was one of their very first offensive plays. He went for a quarterback draw. He ended up fumbling it. The Renegades scored a first touchdown off on it, and he's done for the year pretty much. Again, not confirmed, but we all kind of know he's done for the year. When you see an injury like that and you get carted off the field, you're done for the year. 2nd and 10 for the Battlehawks. Let's see what they can do here. Duggan is in shotgun, 1 man to his left. They do a handoff to Sailors, who makes a great move and gets the first down on the play. Incredible run by Jacob Sailors again. This is what they didn't have last week. Last week, Jacob Sailors was literally non-existent and was a non-threat running the ball. He did some great screen and pitch plays, but as a running back, he was non-existent last week. This week so far, he's been looking pretty solid this game. He is out on the sideline right now. Duggan is in shotgun with a new running back to his left in the backfield. 2 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Tight end's also on the right side of the field. Looks like he might be calling an audible here. Ball is snapped a little bit high, but they are able to get the handoff, and it is going to be a absolutely 0-yard gain. They might give him half a yard in forward progress. Great stop by the Renegades defense right there. Again, we're about 8 minutes left in the half. Arlington is, of course, down to 1 timeout. St. Louis is all 3 timeouts and a challenge left. 2nd and 10 for the Battlehawks. They didn't even give him a yard, which, not surprised. That was a pretty poor play call by the Battlehawks right there. Again, another run up the middle. You're not even using the same running back you were. A bit of a questionable call. Let's see what they do here. Duggan is under center with 1 man behind him in the backfield. Receivers to his right and left. Ball is snapped. They fake the handoff. Looks over the middle of the field. Looks to the left. He's going to scramble out to his right. He's scrambling. He's going to run for it, and he gets about 2.5, 3 yards on the play. So it's going to be about 3rd and long here. It's going to be about 3rd and 7. They might call it about 3rd and 8, but it's basically like 3rd and 7. Let's see the replay. It was some great protection. It didn't look like it was holding by the offense on first glance. It just looked like they got 2 guys who beat him. Just runs it, yeah. This generic one is killing me. Third and 7 for the Battlehawks here. One man to his left in the backfield. Let's see. Ball is snapped. Looks to his right, looks to the left, looks to the middle field, looks to the right again. Looks like he's going to try and scramble for it. And he gets hit. It's going to be about a 6 yard. It's about a 5, maybe 6 yard gain. This is probable 4 down territory here. You're in no man's land. Punting it is only going to gain you about like maybe 25, 30 yards of field position, if that. Your offense has been able to run the ball somewhat effectively. I would go for it here. Looks like they are going to be going for it. So they are literally just shy. This should be a free first down. Just run it up the gut. You should be able to get this one. Duggan is in shotgun. One man to his right in the backfield. Either they're going to throw it. They do a quick pass to Sailors, who is able to get the catch wide open up to the 35, the 30, the 25. Huge play by them. Sailors almost dropped that. It was almost a bit of a wonky pass, but it ended up working. Great play by Sailors right there. Huge gain for the Battlehawks. Again, showing the replay, that pass, they got a bunch of guys to go to the right side of the field. That was a great play design right there. Again, a bit of a questionable pass and catch, but they were still able to get it. So, huge for them. Yeah, that was a bad throw on Duggan right there. That's the kind of throw that you do not want to see your quarterback make, who's supposed to be the more accurate quarterback, because that was a very inaccurate pass. It was a great catch by Jacob Sailors. First and 10 for the Battlehawks. Max Duggan is in shotgun. One man to his right in the backfield. 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Ball is snapped. They hand it off once again, and he gets stopped a yard short. This has not been great with them right now. It's just, oof. Bit of extracurriculars. That's going to be a penalty on the Renegades defense right there. Unnecessary roughness. Those will be reviewed, obviously, but probably. I will say, Javion Howard has had a couple runs today. Every single run has been stopped almost immediately. It just hasn't looked good for him. 15-yard penalty on the Renegades because of the personal foul. Yeah, they're showing the replay. It looks like it's a bit of a questionable penalty, but it's not like the worst, but it is a bit questionable. But St. Louis is at first and goal. Let's see if they can get a touchdown here. They're at the 10-yard line exactly, so they have to score a touchdown here. St. Louis is challenged, or somebody, wait, no, there's a flag now. What is this flag for? False start. Illegal substitution on the offense. So instead of being first and goal at the 10, it's going to be first and goal at the 15-yard line. So, a bit of what some would say ball don't lie moment right there, depending on how you view that personal foul. Yeah. Max, please stop throwing the ball horribly. Yeah, that was a bad throw. That was a great catch by Sailors. I know people say when both hands are on the ball, when you have to reach fully down to barely get it, that's a bad throw. Sailors with an incredible catch a few plays earlier. First and goal at the 15-yard line. Ball snap, they hand it off in the middle. Sailors gets about 5 yards on the carry, gets back to the original line of scrimmage at the 10-yard line. So, second and goal for St. Louis. Again, you basically need a touchdown here. Arlington down to 1 timeout. You've got 3, so in theory, you should be able to get the ball back one more time before this half ends. You could potentially go into the half with the lead, depending on how, you score a touchdown here. Maybe you score again. Who knows? Second and goal at the 10-yard line for the Battlehawks. Just under 5 minutes left in the half. Duggan is in shotgun, 1 man to his right in the backfield with him. 2 receivers out to his left, 1 to the left side of the offensive line, and 1 to his right. Ball is snapped. Fakes the handoff. Duggan is going to run to the right. He's going to run for it. It's a designed run who gets about 4 yards on the carry, gets to about the 6-yard line. Again, a solid play. If only you didn't lose those initial 5 yards, you would basically be 1 yard away from the end zone. Instead, you are still a solid 5 away. That's what really hurts about, obviously, taking that 5-yard penalty on the illegal substitution. Again, borderline 4-down territory here. I would say it depends exactly how many yards you get here. I think if you get about 4 yards and you're 2 yards away, I would say go for it. If you're 3 yards or more, I'd say just take the field goal, try to get the ball back. About 4 minutes left in the half right now. Third and goal from the 6.5-yard line. Or at the 6-yard line. Duggan is in shotgun, 1 man to his right in the backfield with him. 2 receivers on each side of the ball. Ball is snapped, looks to his right, looks over the middle of the field. And he gets sacked for a 7-yard loss. That's a bad play by the offensive line by the Battlehawks. Chris Odom with another massive play on the game. Again, Chris Odom was pretty much the only roughneck defender last year that actually lived up to the hype. And so far this season, he's been great for the Renegades. Bad play for the Battlehawks. They're going to have to kick a field goal here. Going to make it 16-6 as long as Hot Rod makes the kick. Next, throw the ball away. Chris Odom, first team All-UFL last year, was the USFL Defensive Player of the Year 2 years ago. 31-yard kick for Rodrigo Blankenship. Let's see if he can make this one. Should be a free field goal. Kick is up, and it is almost directly in the middle. Great kick. It is good. 16-6, Arlington over St. Louis. Again, with 3 minutes left and 3 timeouts, St. Louis, if they get a quick stop, should be able to get the ball back and try to score again. You need to get as much points on the board as you can by the end of this half because of the fact that Arlington gets the ball after halftime. But we'll see what they can end up doing. Man, Chris Odom, yeah, definitely a huge addition for the Battlehawks or for the Renegades this season. That's for sure. I forgot about the draft coming up just a few days away. Man, what a thing. Trying to look at the stats real quick for this game now. Max Duggan, 6 of 8 for 48 yards and an interception. Not the greatest stat line in the world, but of course one of those is a bit of an asterisk. That Sailors catch, I would borderline say that was an incompletion. Jacob Sailors is 9 carries for 27 yards, which isn't really a great stat line, but overall we can all agree he's been definitely the best running back in the game so far. Duggan is 4 carries for 20 yards on the ground so far. Yeah, and Sailors, of course, has the most yards of any player in the game so far. No surprise there. So, yeah. And defense, let's see the stats for both of them. 2 sacks on the day for the Renegades and absolutely 0 for the Battlehawks so far. Yeah. Sad, but it is kind of how it is. Max being a worse Brock Purdy. He ain't being a good Brock Purdy, that's for sure. He's definitely been not great so far this game. But he hasn't been terrible. He hasn't been as bad as Manny was like last week, which is the big thing for him. But again, what really matters is them getting a stop here. That's what they really need. Need to get a stop here, score again. If you kick a field goal, right? If you have to kick another field goal, it ends up being 16-7 or to 9 heading into the half. You know, that's what you would want to see as a 7-point game. If you go into the half and it's 16-6, and then Arlington scores again, it's pretty bad. So it will be very interesting to see how that ends up going. Because that weird play action fake, yeah, I mean, definitely hasn't been great so far. But could be worse is kind of the best way to view it, but we'll see. That's it. Definitely a shame so far for the Battlehawks this game. I mean, losing Manny hurt, but yikes. Showing a replay on that sack by Chris Odom. Sup, Joe? This game, man, it's been rough for the St. Louis Battlehawks so far. Losing Manny Wilkins probably for the season. The mistakes on the turnovers, but somehow they're still in it. Again, it all depends on if they can get a stop here, though. Hot Rod's been an incredible kicker. He might get another shot back in the NFL again after what he's done this season if he keeps this up. Great kickoff by the Battlehawks. Return is up to the 25 and the 30. Not incredible coverage, but a great kickoff overall. Have to go into work about 20 minutes. Well, nice of you to stop in for a little bit. Again, this game has been it's been a wild one for sure. I mean, Chris Odom is definitely having like not a breakout game, but like a really great game so far. Does have the credited with the fumble recovery touchdown and the sack. I mean, pretty great start for him so far. I mean, we all know how dominant he was back in 2022. Been pretty good this season so far. Obviously, he was great last year. One of those great spring football players right there. Perez is in shotgun. One man in the backfield with him to his left. 2 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Ball snapped. They hand it off to Dede, who gets a solid 6-ish yards on the carry. About 5, depending on exactly where they give him forward progress. Still a very solid first down play right there for them. A little over 2.5 minutes left in the half for the Arlington Renegades. They need to try and milk this clock out. Do not want to give St. Louis the ball back, especially with 3 timeouts left. But again, St. Louis, they will call a timeout here depending on what they, stop them. If they get a really nice play where they Renegades only gain like 1 yard or lose a yard, they're probably going to call timeout, but we'll see. Ball snap, they hand it off by Dede. He makes a little break, and he ends up gaining about 4 yards on the play. They almost stopped him a bit short, but still getting a decent amount. They're going to run this down to the 2-minute warning, so let's see what they're done. Yeah, man, that Panthers game yesterday, the Panthers really did dominate Memphis in that one. I mean, that one touchdown Memphis scored was off a Panthers mistake. And if you eliminate that, man, it just wasn't even really close. That game was definitely a pretty embarrassing one for the Showboats. Definitely, pretty much ended their season, that's for sure. It's a shame that Memphis' season is pretty much over. They were a fun team to watch, but it's over. There's really no way they're going to do anything. That's for sure. Brahma season over, not if they pull off the W. I think they're going to pull off the upset, and if they do, they're still very much in the season. Because of this game, it means one of these two teams is falling to 2-2. So if San Antonio can pull off the upset, they'll be 1-0 above or on DC, which will be helpful for them. DC, of the undefeated teams that we've seen in spring football heading into week 3 or week 4, the Defenders are one of the weaker ones. Their offense is just so bad, losing Ty Scott. If the Brahmas can beat them, it could spiral for DC, but, that's just saying it could. We don't know for sure. But I would say no. If the Brahmas pull off the win, their season is still alive. It'll be tough for them, but then they'll get all their home games. Remember that. They're still going to have 4 home games to end the season if they pull off this win. So if you can go 4-0 in those home games and win this one, that's a 5-5 record. That's possible to make it to the playoffs. Kenji Bahar, legendary Gamblers quarterback back when they were a 500 team in 2023, and then came back a little bit like last year, and that's pretty much it. Still a commercial break. I hate how long the commercial breaks over the 2-minute warning, but yeah. Man, I'm still a bit tired. I didn't even go to bed that late, but I woke up a bit early today. But hey, it is what it is. Again, this game, 16-6, Arlington over St. Louis. It's just been rough, man. St. Louis, those turnovers are just so bad for them. Penalties, Arlington may only have 3 penalties, but all 3 of them have been really bad penalties to take. As for man, dude, it's hard looking at Arlington and seeing them once again have a poor run game. It's just been their biggest issues for sure with them. Their run game is just non-existent. Yeah, the Renegades, I would say, is my favorite XFL team. I think their 2023 season was a fun one to watch with Perez and what they pulled off. I think fan base-wise, they have one of the better fan bases in the XFL conference, or one of the 2 best in terms of, the online fan base in a way, but that's what I would say. Are we talking about DeAndre Johnson? Because DeAndre Johnson, yes, that guy with Perez back in 2022 was an insane duo. That was for sure. Again, this is a big 3rd down for Arlington. If they get stopped here, St. Louis will get the ball back, and they will have a shot to put up some more points, potentially get a touchdown heading into half. Again, Arlington, they get the ball after the half. So if they do end up getting this 3rd down and scoring, they can double up, but we'll see. Lining up in shotgun, 3rd and 2, 1 man in the backfield with Perez to his left. 2 receivers on his right and 2 to his left. Ball is snapped. Throws it to his right. It is incomplete. I know he looked like he wanted to get the interception, but that was a great breakup. Forcing the punt. Again, under 2 minutes. Clock is going to stop. Huge play for the Battlehawks defense right there. If they can score something here, especially if they can get a touchdown, this can make them right back in the game. 4th and 2 now, they're going to punt it here. Vadley, bro, we love that one game he won, and then he got benched like a week later for Roland Rivers. No, that's a quarterback if you want to say, do you remember Roland Rivers? That's a good one. Let's see what King can do here. He's been really great punting this season. Let's see if he does another good one. Punt is up. Another deep punt. It bounces really, really great. Renegades bounce. Bounces all the way to about the 11-yard line. Great punt by Marquette King. So if you're the Battlehawks, you got to eat this entire minute and 47 and score. You want a touchdown, but you will gladly take a field goal and make this back to being a legit one-score game. So let's see what Duggan and this offense can do. Of course, remember, the Battlehawks so far in this game, Sailors has looked really solid. His stats might not be the most dominant-looking stats, but he's been very solid this game, all things considered. Duggan, he's been Max Duggan. He hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been great. But let's see what he does here on this drive. 1st and 10, in shotgun, one man to his left in the backfield with him. Ball is snapped, drops back to throw, looks over the middle of the field, looks to his right, going to throw it a little over the middle, and it's an awful pass once again, just not even close to him. It was like he was trying to throw to his foot, and he even missed the foot. 2nd and 10 for the Battlehawks here. Let's see if he can do something better here. Again, you don't want to go 3 and out and give Arlington another shot at scoring. So you might be forced to run here, but we'll see. Duggan is going to be once again in shotgun. 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left, running back in the backfield with him. Motioning Mims, staying to the right side of the field. Ball is snapped. They're going to throw it. Looks in the middle of the field, throws it, and that is a solid pass, but that time it is just a bad play by Pearson. Pearson dropping that he should have caught. Pearson dropped that. He should have caught that. That would have been a great first down. Replay's going to make it look even worse. Let's see. That was on both of them. The replay shows that was on both of them. In that scenario, Pearson should have caught that, but that was also a poor throw by Duggan. 3rd and 10 for the Battlehawks here. Let's see what they do. Duggan isn't shotgun. You got to get this first down. Even if you run it, they're just going to call a timeout, so you might as well just go for the first down here. Duggan drops back to throw, looks over the middle of the field, looks to his left. He gets sacked, and he may have fumbled the ball, but they whistled it down. That's a bad call. He shouldn't have whistled it down, even if you thought it was, but we'll see. Terrible, terrible drive for the Battlehawks right there. Mainly Duggan. That was just 3 straight poor plays by Max Duggan right there. Let's look at this replay. Yeah, he was down for sure. But, man, 3 straight poor plays by Max Duggan. Again, yes, Pearson should have caught it, but that should have been a better pass. Because that was not a difficult pass for a quarterback. 4th and 18, they're going to have to punt this. Arlington could again, yep, they're going to call a timeout here. They're punting in their own end zone. This is potential for a block here. Let's see if Arlington can do something. Punt is up. He does get the punt off. It is going to be recovered at about the 43-yard line. Gets to the 45, the 50. Gets to the 45 in St. Louis territory. A minute and 13 seconds left. They are already almost in field goal range, which is not good for St. Louis. Man, not a great drive for them. That was a really, really bad 3-play sequence, especially Duggan. Just awful throw, poor throw, and then bad sack. Houston, San Antonio next week. That game might be game of the year right there. 2 teams that, depending how it goes, could be combined for 1 win through 4 weeks. Man, it's going to be a great game. 1st and 10 for the Renegades. Let's see what they do here. Prez in shotgun, 1 man to his left, 3 receivers to his right, 1 to his left. Ball is snapped, drops back, delayed handoff, and he gets tackled for about a yard loss on the play. Great play by the St. Louis defense, but there is a penalty. Let's see what this penalty is. offensive holding. They are going to take that penalty. In that scenario, I do understand taking it, making it a bit harder for them to go no man's land. Same time, we did just get a 1 yard loss play. If you were at a different area of the field, I would have declined that. But because you're in that area where, they're probably going to go for it on 4th down anyway, I'm okay taking that. Go Brahmas over the horrible Roughnecks. 1st and 20 for the Renegades. 2 receivers on each side of the ball. Perez drops back to throw. Throws it over the middle. Is going to be caught for about a 3.5 yard gain for the Renegades. St. Louis not calling a timeout here. That's a very, very questionable decision by them. That is some very scared playing football right there. Renegades are going to do this pretty quickly. It looks like they might actually snap this with more than 10 seconds left in the play clock. Ball is snapped. Perez drops back to throw. Looks to the left side. He's going to maybe run it. He throws it, and it is incomplete. Yeah, that's some bad coaching on Anthony Beck right there. He should have called a timeout there. When you don't call a timeout there, you're basically saying that you either have no faith in your offense or no faith in your defense, and that's not what you want to do as a coach. That was a very, very bad decision by Anthony Beck, especially because that play ends up happening like that. You now have over 40 seconds left, and you still have 2 timeouts. Instead, you have 3 timeouts, but Arlington can just kill this clock even more. Just poor coaching decision by Anthony Beck there. 3rd and 16 for the Renegades. Yeah, Arlington's penalties are just really bad. All of them are such awful penalties to take. It's not like they're just taking a penalty on like 2nd down, losing 5 yards. It's always rough penalties. Perez drops back. Steps up in the pocket. He throws a deep shot to the right. It is a touchdown for the Renegades. Massive play for them. It is now 22-6. St. Louis, you guys are probably cooked. Tyler Vaughn's with a massive 52-yard reception there. That's bad. Roughnecks back to the XFL. Yeah, I hope they would. But they're not gonna, but I would like them to for sure. Just a terrible, terrible sequence for the Battlehawks right there. Arlington up 22-6. And again, if you had called a timeout earlier and all this happened again, you would still have well over like 35 seconds left to do something. Instead, you're probably going to just end up kneeling this on the kickoff, heading into half. That's bad. Like the low taper. Okay, bruh. Renegades are going for 1 to make this a 23-6 game. Beck looks like he might throw a challenge flag, though. Beck just trying to figure out who he needs to call this on. Yeah, if this touchdown stands and this challenge is unsuccessful, it's bad. Again, even if this isn't the greatest challenge, he has to do this. He has to throw a challenge flag here because this is essentially the game. Because Arlington gets the ball at half, you need to stop this from being a touchdown. Showing the replay here. Looks like this is going to be a successful challenge right now. They're showing the replay. It looks pretty clear this is holding. Isn't able to get to the quarterback. Yep, challenge is successful. So no touchdown for Arlington, and they lose 10 more yards. Again, not using that timeout earlier looks even worse because now you're forcing them back another 10 yards. So they're going to have to redo this play. It just all goes back to not using that timeout earlier. But huge challenge by Anthony Beck. Massive. That's going to be successful. Eliminate the touchdown and pushing back another 10 yards. Huge for them. Again, this makes St. Louis still in this game. Big play for them. Or big penalty. Big challenge, whatever you want to call it. Yep, challenge is successful. Holding on the offense, 10-yard penalty, eliminates the touchdown. Nine's a hardworking guy. So 16-6 is the score after the touchdown was taken off the board because of the challenge, and then obviously the penalty after the challenge. So big break for St. Louis. Again, you wish they would have used a timeout earlier to add another like 15 seconds on the clock here. Instead, they're not really going to be able to do anything unless they get an interception or a fumble recovery here. 3rd and 25 for the Renegades. Let's see what they do here. Lining up in 5 wide. Ball is snap. Perez looks to his right. Quick throw. Going to be caught by Canella, who ends up getting about 9 yards in the play. Arlington kills another drive, that's true. Again, St. Louis, I don't get calling a timeout here. You didn't call one earlier, so you got 19 seconds left. Like, you are going to try and make a couple big plays, get in field goal position, but again, you could have had another, like, 12, 15 seconds on the play, but it is what it is. Canella having a game. 4th and 17. I mean, let's see what he's got right now in the stats. He has got, I think this is only his second. Oh, no, never mind. I'm looking wrong. Yeah, 2 receptions for 37 yards. I mean, we really haven't seen anyone doing a ton so far, which is pretty wild, but yeah. Let's see. They got to get a big return here on this punt. They really do need a big one. Punt is up. And it is going to be a touchback. Hit the end zone. So again, St. Louis are going to have to make one pretty deep pass and then try to get a field goal. Again, there's a flag though. Let's see what this is. If this is on Arlington, this is going to be really bad. Let's see. If this is on Arlington, St. Louis can catch a huge break here. If it's on St. Louis, they ain't scoring. Might be offsetting penalties here. Yep. So it does sound like it's going to be offsetting penalties here, so no real break for either team. Offsetting unnecessary roughness penalties for both teams. How about that? Again, it goes back to that timeout not being used. I know I'm harping on it a lot or harking back to it, but it just was such a bad no timeout call because now you're only down to 13 seconds left. 1st and 10 for the Battlehawks. Duggan drops back to throw. Flag looks like it might be off start or false start probably, or illegal formation, something like that. False start. Lose 5 yards there. I hate when challenges don't go in my favor, bruh. Ain't that the truth? (16-6) Arlington over St. Louis. Let's see what they do here. Again, Duggan has to do a deep shot here. There's no like little cheeky pass. He's got to throw a deep one here. Or get sacked. He could do that. And it is another sack for Arlington, and Chris Odom looks to have gotten another one, or at least part of it. Might have been him and Taco. So we're going to head into the half. Man, this is, I would say so far, right, Duggan doesn't look good. He has looked really, really poor this game, all things considered. He doesn't look as bad as Anthony Brown, but when you're seeing this, you're seeing why Manny Wilkins was starting. Because the whole idea was Duggan would be more accurate, and so far he's been like even more inaccurate than Wilkins. He's taking sacks just as bad as Wilkins. It ain't good. That's the best way to call it. It ain't good so far. Again, let's see what the stats officially say. Yep, that is a sack for Taco Charlton. So for a guy they literally just signed a couple days ago getting a sack, whereas the Panthers traded for an offensive tackle that hasn't even played yet, by the way. Yeah, really, really rough game for St. Louis so far. That's for sure. Let's see this. What a game. Yeah, I mean, this is just really bad for the Battlehawks. It's just insane how awful it looks for them. State of the Steins posting potential fraud, ain't that the truth? Yeah, St. Louis, I mean, I'm going to be a man of my word. If they end up losing this game and it looks like this, they are tanking in my power rankings. Like, we might see one of the biggest drops ever. Peter Laviolette got fired, Lamau. I mean, if St. Louis loses, I had them at 2, they might drop down to like 6 or 5, honestly. I think it's pretty hard to argue that they should go anywhere else. Because if you lose this game, that's back-to-back awful losses. That's just rough. For their sake, I hope that's not true, but, you know, we'll have to wait and see about that. That's pretty much what I would say about that. Morikawa is +1 already, so he's dropping. Not great. Let's see the other scores while we're at the half. NBA. Pacers are winning by 13 over the Bucks with about half of the second quarter left. Race tomorrow. There's no race tomorrow, is there? No, there's not. Not till it's Talladega. Okay. Yeah, rough game so far for a couple of these teams. That's for sure. Like it's hard to just. I feel like I keep saying the same damn thing, but it's just so true. Like it's hard to actually look at St. Louis right now and be like, man, this team is, you know, better than the record says it is. Like, they look awful so far. And it's just like they did before. It's just bad. Because, like, again, they played the Brahmas, you know, before they had their great game last week. So they've played, like, 2 of the weakest overall teams in the entire league so far. And outside of that, it just hasn't been good for them. And then, I don't know, man. It's just, I hope that the second half is better for them, but this game legitimately could be over after the first drive of this game. They should bench Wilkins after this game. You can't bench Wilkins. He's out for the season. He's hurt for the whole year. I mean, he definitely tore his Achilles. If he didn't tear his Achilles, I'm stunned. I mean, he's out for the season. You might have to bench Max Duggan for the season because Duggan's looked even worse than Wilkins has. Like, Duggan's stats are better than they even should be because he has made some bad throws that just barely got caught. I mean, it's just, man, it ain't good for them. Team St. Louis. Don't know Chavin Cordero, so you can't even go to, you know, your backup, like the backup you expected to have. And as for your quarterback right now, I'm forgetting who it is off the top of my head. Chavin Cordero not even on the team right now. Andy Wilkins, Max Duggan. You've got Trey Self is your third string quarterback right now. And Trey Self was just signed, so it's like, yikes. Ain't good. Ain't good at all. That's the best way to view it. So it's just like, man, it ain't good. Because if you don't have a good quarterback, there's so much you can do, even with a great receiving core, but yeah, it's a yikes for sure. That's what I would say. It's hard. Where does Michigan rank because they only beat winless teams? It's hard to say. I mean, it really is going to be hard to do a power rankings video this week because, I mean, last week's power rankings video, I'm pulling it up right now, what I had as my rankings. I still stand by what I said. Birmingham, I could not move them up from last week. So my rankings last time were DC, St. Louis, Michigan, Birmingham, Arlington, Houston. That was your top 6. So St. Louis loses this game. it would be 2 bad losses. Because that's the thing that's important to note, is that Michigan lost to Birmingham, but it wasn't like it was a bad they got beat. If St. Louis loses this game like they have, that's back-to-back bad losses. Because DC's offense should never have scored that many points. Especially turnovers. Because at least with Michigan, you can blame it on the special teams. St. Louis might drop to 5. If Houston pulls off the upset over Birmingham, they might drop to 6. But then Birmingham might drop to 6 too. I don't know for sure about that. Houston's the wild card because I still want Houston like last, but if they pull off the upset, they might move up to like 5. I don't know. It's going to be tough. All I know is if they lose this game like this, St. Louis is at best 5. At best. That's what I would say. Because then you're also talking about them losing their starting quarterback. And it's not like the team has looked better week in and week out. They've looked worse pretty much week in and week out. Because that's what I said, right? My whole point was week 1, they dominated. Week 2, they dominated, but not as well. Then week 3, they lost and looked bad. And if they do that again this week, that means that they're trending down, whereas a team like Michigan's been trending up. With the asterisk, it's against mainly bad teams. Even then, DC, they're 3-0 right now, but ain't nobody going to say they're a threatening 3-0. They have a great defense. That's about it. Like, nobody's looking at DC being like, man, that offense is loaded. Like, that offense is bad, especially without Ty Scott. So, I mean, like, legitimately, 1-8, I don't think we've ever seen it be this close, with maybe the 2023 USFL season being the only one that comes to mind. That's the only one I could say that is closer when it comes to the best team to the worst team. Because through 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks, it's tough to look at San Antonio or Memphis and be like, man, well, maybe Memphis. Memphis, that was a bad one this time. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough one. Yeah, power rankings, man, it's been really hard to make them this year, and I think they're going to continue that trend of being really difficult to make because everything's just going to keep changing in this really weird way. That's kind of how I view it. But, again, we have to see because who knows what upsets we have. We might have 2 more upsets happen, and then, everything gets changed again. It's like, I mean, if San Antonio beats DC, I mean, where do you put DC? How far do you move them down versus San Antonio up? If Houston pulls off the upset, it just, I don't know. It's going to be a tough one, but we'll see, kind of thing, right? Never know for sure, but we'll eventually find things out. That's the best way to view it, in my opinion. Metal. Dude, am I spelling something wrong? Trying to look things up, and I'm just really struggling right now. I don't know. It's just, it's a game. Bye, everyone. Got to go to work now. Bummer. Hey, this game, you might not be missing too much if this game keeps up what it is, that's for sure. It's really not clear what's the best for the team right now. For the Battlehawks, it ain't looking good. This is looking really bad for them. I like that there's so much opportunity for changes for teams making good season. I don't think any of them are completely out just yet. Memphis is at 0-4 because either way, put it this way, Houston pulls off the upset. You've got 2 teams that currently have 2 more wins than you do. You are winless in your own conference. They have at least 1 win each. Birmingham might have 2. I can't remember off the top of my head. Birmingham wins. You have 2 teams that are 3-1. You are 3 games behind them, and they both are almost undefeated with the only in their own conference, with the only exception being obviously Michigan, Birmingham. So Memphis is borderline out already. San Antonio, they could make a run, but especially when you consider they have 4 home games left and their final, 6 games of the season, they're very much in it if they pull off the upset against DC. But Memphis, they cooked. Memphis is done for the year. That's for sure. I'd be stunned if they're even like somewhat still in it. That's what I would say. Oh man, they just showed the Manny Wilkins injury again. That's just rough to watch. And Chris Odom getting the fumble recovery touchdown. The Ja'Cour Pearson fumble, that was a really bad one. That Pearson fumble was rough. Especially because you let a tight end force a fumble out of you. That's what's really bad. The Renegades mascot. It's so weird seeing the XFL teams have mascots now since they like didn't for so long. I mean, look at that. 5 penalties for 54 yards, and you're dominating by 10 points, and you're getting the ball back. That's just bad. 3 turnovers is rough. Though, according to the UFL's official site, they only have 2 turnovers, though. Isn't that great? Brahms getting a new mascot this next week. I do remember seeing that, too. So I think every team would have one, right? Aside from the Roughnecks, I believe. So, yeah. Man. This is not looking good for St. Louis. Again, thanks to the challenge, it is still a 10-point game. They just have to stop Arlington from scoring this drive. That's what matters most. I'll be at the game to report if he is cool or not. Hey, I hope you have a good time in that game. Again, San Antonio got screwed out of a home game, but they still got 4 games, and who knows? If they pull off the upset tomorrow, they could make a run. If not, they're cooked. Yeah, San Antonio's season is basically tomorrow. That's what I would say. Doing some more all-access stuff right now. The Renegades, man. Dude, this all-access is great sometimes. Donald Payne. What, another one of those spring football legends at this point. How long he's been around. Again, we're about to kick off. Remember, the Renegades are getting the ball after the half, so they are getting the ball here. That's why it's a big deal that we need to see, if you're, again, a St. Louis fan, you need to see Arlington get stopped here. Arlington scoring, with how St. Louis's offense has been playing, it's hard to see St. Louis scoring multiple touchdowns with Arlington having an entire, basically half of football playing, so we'll see. Max Duggan, man, he's looked so bad this game. He really has. He had, the initial drive was looking decent, and then ever since that, awful underthrow, it's just been downhill from there. The kick is up. It is going to be recovered initially at about the 7-yard line, up to the 15, the 20. Cuts to the left, gets still to 20, and gets tackled at about 20. Solid coverage by the St. Louis Battlehawks special teams. Let's see if the defense can kind of bail out this offense. Again, after the half, defense should be a bit rusted up. Need to get a stop here. You cannot let them score at all. You had already a 2-score game. You make this 19-9. Even then, that's still just going to be really rough for St. Louis. The one thing that is the silver lining for St. Louis is that Arlington's ground game is still absolutely pitiful. So if you can keep that up, you're going to have to force Perez to win the game by himself in a passing sense. So we'll see. 1st and 10, Arlington. Perez is in shotgun, 1 man to his right in the backfield with him. 2 receivers to his right as well, and 2 to his left. Motions Canelo to the right. Ball is snapped. Hand off to Ballage, who gets tackled for about a 4-yard gain. One of the better rushes on the day for Arlington. Going to be about 2nd and 6 for the Renegades. They might have spotted that ball pretty far back. Okay, 2nd and 6 still. But they definitely spotted that ball back about a full yard. Perez quick throws is going to be caught for about another 4-yard gain, going to about 3rd and 2, maybe 3rd and 3, depending on exactly where they spot him. for the Renegades. Again, St. Louis, they need to get a stop here. Do not let Arlington get a first down here. You can get a 3 and out, get your offense ball back immediately. That'd be huge for them. They're doing a quick run back. They got 3 receivers bunched up to the right and 1 running back to the left with Perez. And they end up handing it off. And he looks like he may have gotten it for a first down for Arlington. The spot initially makes it look like it might be short, but of course they're going to use the technology to review this and look at it. Let's see. Ballard just gets hit immediately. Great play by the Battlehawks defense. They are calling it short, so it's going to be 4th down for the Renegades. Again, I want to go for it. I've always said, if you're within a yard, I do not care where you are on the field. You go for it. If you don't get it, you don't deserve to win. They are going for it. They should not try to get him offsides. They should just legitimately go for it. Do a QB sneak, something. They are going for it. They run it up the middle, and it looks like it is going to be a first down, depending where they spot him. It's going to be very hard to review. This is going to have to use the power of technology. He never really reached for it. It's a bit of a poor play by Ballard. I understand not wanting to fumble the ball there, but he should have at least reached a little bit. He might not have gotten it. Let's see. Wow. Adam, they did not convert that one somehow. They are calling that short. That is bad for the Renegades. Again, that was legit 4th and inches. I know the QB sneak is such a basic play in that scenario, but it's a reason you do it. It's just getting like a couple yards. Ballard never fully reached out, didn't get it. Great play by the Battlehawks defense. Run to Sailors to the left on first down, gets about 4 yards on the play. Like I said, that's just bad for Arlington. That should have been a free first down. That's the kind of play that might lose you the game. That should have been an easy first down. Couldn't get it. That's a very bad one to not convert. That is so true. Spring Football Zone showing the fact that that was a while ago, but it is true that the Bandit for the Renegades is just the old Tampa Bay Bandits thing. I just saw that one, Adam. Duggan gets the snap, throws it quick in the middle, and it's almost intercepted. That was just a poor decision right there. I mean, that could have easily been an interception. Going to be 3rd and 6, but they are in field goal range already thanks to the 4th down conversion not succeeding, so they'll at least get 3 points on this drive, barring Hot Rod misses it. Billy the Bandit is his name. The OG one right there. And the Defenders don't have a mascot, I believe. That's another team. The Defenders and Roughnecks are the 2 teams that currently don't have a mascot. Once the Brahmas get theirs, obviously. 3rd and 6 for the St. Louis Battlehawks. Duggan is in shotgun, 1 man to his left. 3 receivers to his right. 1 to his left. Ball is snapped. Looks over the middle of the field. And he just holds on to it and doesn't throw it. That is awful play by Duggan. That is 100% on Duggan. There is absolutely zero blame on the offensive line. He had more than enough time to do something, and he chose not to. Chris Odom with a huge sack. This is going to make the field goal significantly harder. That was another awful play by Max Duggan right there. Look at that. He just held on that way too long. Didn't even try to move. He could have moved to the left. He had nobody in the backfield. I'm not saying to run for a first down, but to move left, he had nobody coming at him from that way. Now, instead of this being like a 44-yard field goal, it's a 53-yarder for Hot Rod. Let's see if he can makes this kick. Kick is up. Oh, that's a beautiful kick right there. Hot Rod makes it, nails it. 16-9, Arlington over St. Louis. Beautiful kick. Great one. Again, Max Duggan, man, he is looking awful today. This is just 2 bad ones right now. That's rough right there. But yeah, man, Chris Odom is looking really good right now in this game. Let's pull up some stuff. Halftime, Pacers are dominating the Bucks. Not surprised. I kind of thought the Pacers were going to win that series. Granted, it's only 1 game, but still. Man, it's a shame how Max Duggan is playing right now. I know there's a few of you guys who are really looking forward to him playing, but man, he has not been great this game. Like, at all. He just really hasn't. But yeah, Rodrigo Blankenship, man, he's been a great kicker this season. He definitely, if he keeps this up, he will get another NFL opportunity. Like I've always said, kicker is such a hard position to stay in the NFL because once you get that notion that you're not consistent, you just go away immediately, never got a second chance. Yeah, I agree. He's definitely going to go back if he keeps this up. Return is up to about the 30-yard line for the Renegades. Yeah, I fully agree. Hot Rod going back to the NFL, yeah, if he keeps this up and finishes the season with like one miss or almost perfect, he should definitely get another NFL shot because these are a lot of 50-yarders that he's making. Especially that last one, because that last one is one of those where like your quarterback made a mistake which made the field goal significantly harder and you still made it. That's what you really want from your kicker. You want to know that mistakes from your offense still allow for your kicker to make field goals. That was a great kick by Hot Rod. Looking better than Bates did last year, just kicked from 60. Yeah, Jake Bates said it before. I don't think he should have been the all-UFL kicker. He missed a lot of kicks the second half of the season. I know in terms of distance kicking from 60, there's like almost nobody better. But like those 40 to 50 yarders, he missed a decent amount of them. Perez drops back to throw, looks over to the left, looks over the middle. He throws a quick pass to the right to Ballage, who gets about 7 yards, maybe 8 yards, depending on exactly where they call him out of bounds. But yeah, Bates, man, he was great last year. He was incredible with the Lions. But in terms of the UFL season, he wasn't the best kicker last year, just because he missed a lot, including, of course, the Week 10 game against the Stallions where he missed the game-winning field goal and really helped enforce that narrative that Michigan still can't be the Birmingham Stallions. Ball is snapped, handoff to Ballage, who runs up the middle of the field and doesn't get it again. Another poor rush by the Renegades. This Renegades ground game being this poor is such a huge, huge Achilles heel for them. And it's a huge reason why St. Louis is still in this game. Because the run game, there's just no threat by it whatsoever. 3rd and 1 for the Renegades here. And now that you stopped them on that 4th and inches last time, Arlington might not go for it in 4th down here. So if you can stop them here, that'd be huge. Doing the T-bone again. They hand the ball off, and he gets tackled for about a yard loss. Again, another awful run play by the Renegades. The Battlehawks defense stuffs it once again. Great play for the Battlehawks. They might be able to get something here if they can just get one good drive out of Duggan. Bates beat my Texans on prime time by the grace of God. Someone made 2 misses. He made 2 misses go in. Dude, this Arlington run game is so bad. Arlington with the ground game, man, that would be incredible. 4th and 2, the punt is up. Another solid punt, gets recovered about the 16-yard line. Return is up to the 20, gets to about the 24-yard line, Pearson does. Again, if Duggan can just get a solid drive here, they are within 1 score now, a 7-point game to tie it. They could do something here if they can just get it off. But we'll have to see. Let's see, any new tweets up? Hot Rod, man, he's just doing so good this season. He's one of their best players for sure. Renegades. The Renegades ground game is so weak. Just had to tweet that out there because, I mean, it's just so bad. It really is. Man, what a game. I mean, the Renegades offense running right now, Ballage has an average of 1 yard per carry on 7 carries. That is not good. In case you couldn't tell, that's not good right there. That's rough. That really is rough. Going back over here now, it's just, man. I was drinking some water. It was a rough game. So are the Battlehawks. But again, they're still in it because of the ground game for the Renegades still being so weak. It's the best part for the Battlehawks. They're able to just, I mean, their defense is good enough. Like I said, most defenses in the league this year have been really solid. They're good enough to be able to stop the run game. I mean, it's just... Yeah, I mean, the Renegades shooting themselves in the foot, I mean, penalties for sure, but also the ground game. Like, their run game has been so bad, and they haven't tried changing it. Like, they had one big rush in week 1 and acted like that's good enough to keep everything the same. They need to change it. It's been awful this season. Like, again, it was funny when it happened, but remember, Devion Smith's 3 rushing touchdowns in week 1 were all 1-yard rushes. This team has struggled so much on consistently getting 3+ yard rushes. Remember, a good rush is a minimum of 4 yards, and they just can't do that. And it's been the biggest issue for them. If they have a good ground game, they're winning this game by over 20. But because their ground game is so poor and St. Louis's defense is so I want to say so good, but it's like every defense is really good this year, but their defense is so good that they can just stop the Renegades ground game without any issue, and it's a 7-point game. Max Duggan is in shotgun, gets the snap, hands it off to Sailors, who runs for about a 4-yard carry, something the Renegades barely are able to do ever. Big carry by Sailors right there. Again, if they can somehow tie this game up, that would be insane, but never say never. They could pull it off. They're going to call it about a 3-yard carry, so it's going to be 2nd and 7 for the St. Louis Battlehawks here. Duggan is in shotgun. One man behind him in the backfield with him. Ball is snapped. They do a little pitch play to Ja'Cour Pearson, who gets a first down and then about 3 more yards, or a bit of stall pass, I should say. My apologies. Stall play by Pearson. Love to see that. Bruh. Showing some random hockey stuff, PK Subban right now. 1st and 10 for the Battlehawks with 8 minutes and 35 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. Duggan is in shotgun, 1 man to his left, 1 man in to his right, motioning 1 guy behind him. Fakes the little throw to Pearson, but ends up just being a run by Sailors, who ends up getting only about 2.5, maybe 3 yards in the play. Going to be about 2nd and 8, maybe 2nd and 7, but there is a flag on the field. Let's see what this flag is. If this is on Arlington, that'll be really bad for them. Imagine if Arlington blows this when they were winning the turnover margin battle 3-0. Dude, if Arlington loses this, they might go below Houston. Unnecessary roughness on the offense. 15-yard penalty. Massive, massive break for Arlington right there. Jared Jones-Smith with a bad penalty there. I'm going to show the replay here. That was a weak unnecessary roughness. That was like, yes, did he shove him? Yes, but that was insanely weak to call a penalty for that one, not going to lie. Really weak one. 2nd and 23 for the Battlehawks. Duggan in shotgun. Fakes the handoff, drops back. He's going to try and run for it. And he gets tripped up by a defender and gets to the 30-yard line. So it's going to be a very long 3rd down here. But there is a flag. It's back in the backfield. Let's see. Might be on the defense here. Let's see. Well, speak of the devil, Adrian. Unnecessary roughness on the defense this time. 15-yard penalty on Arlington by Taco Charlton. So, huge break for St. Louis this time. Let's see this. It's weird. I mean, he just was doing his job as a pass rusher. I don't know if I would call that unnecessary roughness right there. But I think those are 2 weak unnecessary roughness calls, honestly. Both of them, the one on the Battlehawks and the one in St. Louis, though on St. Louis, the one in the Renegades, both were very weak unnecessary roughness calls. Feels like that was a makeup call. Max Duggan is in shotgun on the first down. Ball is snapped, and it's a direct QB run. Runs to the right. He's got nobody there, and he's able to get about a 7-yard run. Really solid play by Duggan to get cross midfield. Arlington could have been the best. Their run game needs to be so much better. That's their biggest issue. Like, the penalties are bad, but, man, that ground game is so weak. 2nd and 3 for the Battlehawks. When they snap this, it's going to be about 7.5 minutes left in the third quarter. Duggan is in shotgun. Sailors is in the backfield with him to his left. 3 receivers to his left and 1 to his right. Ball is snapped. Handed off to Sailors. And he almost gets away from 2 guys, but the Renegades are able to blow that play up, and it's a loss of about 1 yard for the Battlehawks. Third and 4 for the Battlehawks. Need to get a first down here, and they need to keep this offensive drive going. You got a huge break with the unnecessary roughness penalty, bailing you out of your own unnecessary roughness penalty that neither should have been called on. So, in the end, you got bailed out, and you're at 3rd and 4 at the 50-yard line. This is borderline 4-down territory. Ball snap. Duggan drops back to throw. Throws it to the right. Oh, my God. Another awful pass by Duggan. Just a wild overthrow by him. Not the biggest fan of that right there. I would have liked to do some sort of run play there. Get a couple yards, make the 4th down easier. Instead, just an awful pass by Duggan again. And 4th and 4, it's hard to do a 4th down play, but they might. Looks like they're not doing it. They're going to punt it here. Let's see how good this punt is. To justify punting it here, you've got to pin him in the 20. Anything else, you should have just gone for it. Punt is up. Going to be recovered at the... It's going to bounce, and it's going to be touchdown at the 10-yard line. So, solid punt. Man, that was a bit rough to watch for St. Louis there. Again, dude, Duggan... They're still in this game, though. The defense, as long as they can keep, this going... They could do something. They were able to stay on the field for a decent amount of time, get that defense a bit tired. They can get back on the field with a quick 3 and out here. They can keep that Arlington defense getting weaker and weaker. That's what you kind of want to see, but who knows? Yeah, Adrian Martinez having 2 separate... I mean, not Adrian Martinez. Rodrigo Blankenship having 2 huge or 2 huge kicks. Love to see it. Back over here. After further review, Wilkins is the better passer. I wouldn't say that. I don't know about that. It's hard to look at what Wilkins did last week and say he's a better passer when they're both. Like, it ain't looking good for either of them. Because Wilkins last year was very inaccurate, and this year he looked good against 2 poor teams. Last week he looked really poor passing, and then he was already, completionless in this game before he got hurt. And then Duggan hasn't been great either, obviously. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like, I thought Duggan was going to play better. Because, right now in this game, Duggan is 7 of 13 for 58 yards. Already, that's not great. But then add in that one of those completions was an awful throw that Sailors caught for like 10 yards. You eliminate that, that's 6 of 12 for like 44 yards. And, he has a 33 passer rating. The ground game, he's been solid, but like passing-wise, there's so many missed throws. The interception... While because of how the defense played, they kind of got bailed out, as an actual throw, it was an awful throw. That would have been a free touchdown, and instead he missed it, and, it wasn't. So it's like, it's aggravating, because Sailors is, of running backs, he's been the best running back in the league this year. He's continuated last year. So you happen to be like the only team in the league that has a somewhat consistent ground game, But then your air attack is like one of the weakest in the league too, so then it's like you're the opposite of Arlington. Arlington's not winning by 20 because their ground game is non-existent. Like, if you put Sailors on the Renegades, this game ain't even close. Vice versa, you put Perez on the Battlehawks, this game ain't close. One of those kind of games. But again, if it's a one-score game, you're always in it. That's been the biggest issue for Arlington both this year and last year. If you keep it a low-scoring game or a close game, you just need that one play. St. Louis is still in this one. Some sort of notification. Let's see. All right, 1st and 10 for the Renegades. Let's see if the Battlehawks defense can stop them here. First and 10, Perez is in shotgun. One man in the backfield with him to his right. 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his left. Motion one of them from right to left with Canella. Ball is snapped. Quick pass is going to be complete. And it is going to be a first down completion up to the 30, up to the 35. Huge play by Seth Green for the Renegades right there. Insane play by them right there. You think the viewership could dip? Honestly, when you consider the fact that it's round 1, the game tonight, definitely. Because you've got WrestleMania, you've got the NBA playoffs, you've got the NHL playoffs, you've got being at Easter weekend. Yeah, I mean, Easter weekend's always a poor for ratings. When you add in all the competition, mainly tonight's game and tomorrow night's game, I know it's not like fully night, but it's borderline night. Those 2 games, gonna hurt. That's why the one thing that's good about them is being on Fox, is that they're going to get some sort of boost there, but they're definitely going to hurt some. Another Battlehawks player down right now, Chris Payton-Jones, is currently down with medical looking at him. I didn't... Okay, Adam. Again, 5 minutes and 40 seconds left in the third quarter. Arlington is still up by 7 points. He is able to get up and walk to the sideline. You do love to see that he's not having to be carted off like Manny Wilkins was. Hate to see it. Again, the Renegades, they need to score here to try and put their foot down as winning this game. If they don't, St. Louis will still be in it. Perez is lined up in shotgun. Day Hunter is to his left in the backfield with him. 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Motion's Day to the right of him now. Ball is snapped. Looks to the right side of the field. He throws a bit of a deep pass to the right sideline and is going to be incomplete. Looking for a pass interference, not going to get it. 2nd and 10. And remember, they cannot challenge because Arlington lost their challenge. So, incomplete pass is the call. Well, a safety wouldn't. I mean, a safety would still make it a 1-score game. But yeah, Arlington's offense scores something. Yeah, I mean, it's a 2-score game. So they need to put up some points. Or else, yeah. 2nd and 10 for the Renegades. 2 receivers to the left, 2 to the right. Running back in the backfield with him. Hands it off. And another awful run. They may have even lost a yard on that play. Again, this ground attack is just so weak. It's insane. Another awful play by the Renegades offense on the ground. 16-9, Arlington over St. Louis. Showing some of the wind going on right now, but man, this ground game, oof. 3rd and 10. This could be big for St. Louis. They can get a stop here, force a punt. Maybe they'll be able to get something on offense this time, but we'll see. Perez is in shotgun, 1 man to his left in the backfield with him. Ball is snapped. Looks over the middle of the field. Running to his right. Throwing a deep pass. And it is like literally to nobody. Incomplete. It's just a throwaway pass. You're going to have to punt this ball. Ooh, there is a flag. Might be roughing the passer or something. Let's see. Calling roughing the passer. We got to have to review this one to see if this is legit roughing the passer or they're just calling it to call it. Let's see. Weaker roughing the passer call. He pushed him, but like bit weaker. Again, not as weak as the 2 unnecessary roughness calls, so I'm okay with this one because those 2 were called, but still a weaker roughing the passer call. Again, not as bad as the 2 unnecessary roughness penalties in the last, that Battlehawks drive. Those were both super weak. This one, not as weak, just a little bit weaker, but if it's called on there, you can't overturn that. Bad play by him. Awful play. That's a terrible play by the Battlehawks there. Snap is up, they run it to the right, and they get about 2.5 yards on the ground there. Well, one thing is it's like what Mike P's saying. That was clearly late. It was a push for no reason. It wasn't like he was doing it as he throwed it. He pushed him to push him. So that's why I'm not against that call. But yeah, overall the refs this season have been a lot worse than the past couple of years. Yeah, that is on Fialo fully. There was no reason to push him. Was it a flop? Yeah, it was a Josh Allen kind of flop. Pass is thrown, intercepted by the Battlehawks up to the 40, the 35, the 30, the 25, the 20, the 15, the 10, 5. Touchdown Battlehawks. They could tie this game up on the extra point. Willie Harvey Jr., the best player on the Battlehawks defense, gets the pick 6 for St. Louis. Massive play right there for him. Insane. If the offense is going to do nothing all game, might as well has the defense score a touchdown. Huge play for Willie Harvey right there. That's the kind of play you want to see from your all UFL defender. Jump the route, just went all the way for a touchdown. Huge play for them. Battlehawks are right back in this game. Look at that. That's an incredible play by the defense right there. Willie Harvey Jr., man. I said he was one of the best players in the entire league last season. He's still a great player. Again, do you go for 2? Do you go for 1? This is a very tough call, but they are going to go for 1. They are going for the tied game here. Because Sailors can run the ball really well and these short yardage things, I'm okay with this. But if this was any other team, I would say go for 2 because St. Louis, well, and Michigan obviously are only going to go for 1. I'm okay with them doing this as long as they hold it to Sailors or do a play-action pass. Yep, they handed off to Sailors who runs for it. He gets stopped. That was a great one. They stopped you. You did what you've been doing really well, which is Sailors running the ball. You got beat there. Still a 1-point game. Arlington has the lead. This is great, but the Battlehawks need an offensive touchdown. They need a good offensive drive in general. They have not had a single really good offensive drive at all. It's been like penalties by Arlington aiding them out and, of course, getting the ball good field position. They need some sort of good offensive drive for sure. I fully agree with that. 3-1 for J-Rock. Willie Harvey Jr., man. What a play by him. Incredible play by him. Just insane. I mean, Willie Harvey Jr. just did more than, like, everybody minus, Jacob Sailors for the offense pretty much. That's insane. What a play. What a play by Willie Harvey Jr. Of course, if St. Louis wins this game, Willie Harvey's the big... Well, honestly, Rodrigo Blankenship's the biggest reason. The fact that he made 2 50-plus yard field goals, with one of them being Max Duggan making it like 10 yards harder. That's incredible. Yeah, big play by the St. Louis defense there. 3 minutes and 13 seconds left in the game for the quarter, I should say. And then we have the fourth quarter, obviously. Let's see what happens here. If the Battlehawks win, Willie gets the game ball. I would still give it to Rodrigo Blankenship and then Willie second. Because when Max took that sack, most kickers probably missed that kick, and it gets blamed on the quarterback making it harder. The fact that Rodrigo made that kick is just incredible. Return is to the 20, the 25, cuts to the right, gets tackled about the 28-yard line. Yeah, Rodrigo Blankenship, incredible. Then, of course, you have that player, Willie Harvey Jr., incredible, and Jacob Sailors has been like the only somewhat consistent guy in offense. Look at that. That's just a great play by Harvey right there. Jumped the route and got all the way down for a touchdown. Look at Anthony Becht. Just a shame this offense can't do anything. Perez is in shotgun. One man to his left in the backfield with him. Two receivers far to the left. I stopped watching what the hell happened, how St. Louis down by one score. They just got a pick six. Willie Harvey Jr. just got a pick six on Luis Perez. Jumped the route, ran 50 yards, got a pick six. Fake the handoff. Perez rolls up in the pocket. Throws out a little screen pass. Two Ballards are not a screen, but just check down. And he ends up getting about 8 yards on the carry, or on the reception. Yeah, I mean, basically, the Battlehawks, Fallow took an awful penalty. He just shoved Perez for absolutely no reason, gave them free 15 yards in what would have been a third down stoppage. Then, like, the very next play, Willie Harvey Jr. just breaks the route, or jumps the route, gets a pick six, and now St. Louis is only down by one. Because they did fail the one-point conversion, but only down by one. Second one, Renegades. Ball is snapped, handed off, and it gets stopped 2 yards shy of the line of scrimmage. Again, at this point, if you're Arlington, just don't even bother running the football. It's just been bad, bad, bad. Another awful run by them. Lost 2 yards on the play. Instead of 3rd and 1, it's now 3rd and 3. That's awful to see. Again, we're going to be under 2 minutes left in the third quarter once this play is, well, starts and ends. Let's see what they do here. Perez is in shotgun. One man in the backfield with him. Two receivers to his right, two to his left. Motions his running back to his left. Ball is snapped. Throws it. Is going to be caught for a first down. And then about 2 more yards. And he's still on his feet. And he ends up getting another 5 yards on the play. Down at the 45-yard line. Incredible play right there by the Renegades. Love to see that. Tyler Vaughn's incredible wide receiver made a huge play there for the first down. Again, 1st and 10 now with 1 minute and 20 seconds left on the third quarter. Perez is in shotgun. 2 receivers to his right. 1 fully to his left and 1 to the left of the line of scrimmage. Or to the offensive line, I should say. Running back to his right. Ball is snapped. Fake the handoff. Looks to throw the check down to Day Hunter, who gets the first down and then another 4-ish yards on the play. A couple of big plays for the Renegades back-to-back. Under 1 minute left in the third quarter now. Insane that this game is competitive, but it all comes down to the 2 biggest Achilles heels of the Renegades. Penalties in awful times and that awful run game. That's what's made this game so close, because it really shouldn't be. But Arlington, they know how to make a game close. Perez in shotgun, 1 man to his right in the backfield. Fake the handoff. Throw it to the right. It is going to be caught, and is going to be... He breaks the tackle, and Beck is pissed on the sideline. That is a first down play by the Renegades. Yeah, if I was Beck, I'd be pissed too. That should have been a free tackle, 2-yard loss instead. Ended up gaining about 12-ish yards on the play. Awful for the Battlehawks right there. Second down. This might be the last play of the quarter, or they're just going to end up taking it down to the third quarter, which it looks like they're doing. Yep. End of the quarter. We're heading into the fourth quarter. They did call him out of bounds pretty early, so they got lucky there. It's going to be 2nd and 2 for the St. Louis, or for the Arlington Renegades, heading into the fourth quarter. Again, 16-15 is the score. Arlington has no challenges. St. Louis has 1 challenge remaining. Again, St. Louis's offense has basically done nothing this entire game, aside from Sailor sometimes. But Hot Rod has made a couple of very long field goals. Willie Harvey made an incredible pick six. And the Renegades, well, they're up 16-15 in a game. They should be winning by a lot more. So it's still a close one. We'll definitely see what ends up happening. Man, everybody's showing this Willie Harvey play because it's a huge play for them for sure. Giannis is the #1 trending. I wonder what happened to him. Let's see. Oh my gosh, that's so bad. Giannis with 4 guys in the box score. Giannis 19 points. Wow, I see why Giannis is trending. Yeah. Dude, this is so bad. Everybody's just trashing the entire roster aside from Giannis. Dude, that's awful. 3 minutes ago, Giannis has 25 points. The other starters combined for less than 20. They don't even have 15. That's awful. That's hilarious. I mean, dude, I'm not against Beck losing on the sideline, either for the pick six being excited or for that tackle, because that was a free tackle and they just couldn't get it, which is awful. All right, while we're in commercial break, let's look at the PGA Tour. Let's update this one. Sunwoo Kim, I forgot which one. Or Kim Siwoo, yeah. Bottom line, Kim is currently tied with Thomas for the lead at -12. Harman and McNeely are both at -11. Scotty has shot -1 so far, so he's getting up there. Morikawa is still not playing well today. Are we back to even? Okay. Insane how some of these guys didn't even make the cut, really. I forgot this is one of those events that everybody just keeps going. I forgot about that one. Bucks have been getting whooped by the Pacers. Yeah, I've been checking on the score every now and then, but I expected the Pacers to win this series. I firmly did. I thought that this was when the Damian Lillard, even though Dame is a bit overrated in the playoffs, I figured this is where them not having him is finally going to really hurt, and this game one is definitely looking like that. When it's Giannis against, it's literally a 1v5, yeah, it ain't good. It ain't looked good for him, that's for sure. NFL draft coming up. Can't wait to watch day one, and that's probably it. Might watch day, nah, probably not. I pretty much only fully cared about day two back in 2022 when all the Cincy guys were coming out of the draft. I remember seeing Pierce get drafted a lot earlier than I expected. Maji Sanders get drafted and all that. Former second rounder Denzel Mims. Love to see that. Having a pretty solid season. I mean, he hasn't been getting the pass from Wilkins. A lot of missed throws to him, but hopefully he can, it's just, you hate when your quarterbacks aren't throwing accurate balls, but again, this game's still a 1-point game somehow. Let's see what the Renegades do on second down. Again, 2nd and 2. Perez is in shotgun. One man to his right in the backfield with him. We are at the fourth quarter, 15 minutes left in the game. Motions one receiver from the left to the right. Goes back to the left. Ball is snapped. Handed off. Actually, a solid run play. Ends up getting about 6 yards on the ground. So, first down for the Renegades. I want to see Mike Green for Marshall get into the first round. That would be huge for Marshall. Go Herd. Hey, I just know this draft is really wild. I know Shedeur was originally supposed to be a guaranteed top 3 pick, and now some people have him getting picked the 3rd QB overall. Guys like Milroe have just risen insanely, and it's wild how it happens every year. All we pretty much know is Cam Ward is pretty much going number 1. And after that, who knows? 1st and 10 for the Renegades. Perez is in shotgun. No receivers out fully wide. Ball is snapped. They fake the handoff and do a little bit of a pitch behind, and he gets to the first down, and then the 15 to 5. It's Javonte Payton gets to about the 4-yard line. If they score a touchdown here, this is going to be really tough for St. Louis to come out of. Yeah, it's a 1-point game. You score a touchdown, go for 2, make it a 9-point game, make it to where St. Louis has to score a touchdown and a 3-point conversion, or a touchdown and a field goal. You make this a very hard game for St. Louis. I would go for 2 if you get this touchdown. I don't think going for 1 is necessarily fully worth it, because then St. Louis goes for 2 as well. It makes it a tie game or something like that. Or not, you know what I mean. You get what I'm saying. We go for 1. Well, you know what I'm trying to say. Don't go for 1, go for 2 here if you get this. Ball is snapped. Handed off directly in the middle, and like usual, the play doesn't go too far. Wait, maybe not. Depends where they call him down. They're calling it a touchdown. They're saying he was never down, so at least as of now, it is a touchdown. 22-15 Arlington over St. Louis. Again, I would go for 2 here. It's not really worth it to go for 1. It makes it too easy for St. Louis compared to going for 2 if you get it, so that's what I would say. Oh, he's definitely still up. That was an incredible run by Daddy Hunter right there. Never hit the ground. Touchdown, 22-15, Arlington over St. Louis. And they are going for 2. This is the correct call. Make it a 9-point game. St. Louis then has to either score twice with a touchdown and a field goal, or score a touchdown and a 3-point conversion, which of course is very difficult to do. If you fail this, it's still a 7-point game, meaning that St. Louis has to score and get an extra point. Ball snap, Perez looks to throw, throws it to the left. It is going to be an incomplete pass, so it is no good. It is a 7-point game. St. Louis is still in this one. Yeah, this game is definitely one of the better ones of the season. I wouldn't say it's game of the year, but it's definitely up there as one of the better ones. Again, if St. Louis scores, going for 2 or 1 definitely is going to be a very, very, very important decision, and one I could easily see go either way. We'll have to wait and see on that, though. Justin Thomas just got a 1-stroke penalty. He's probably going to drop that top spot right now. ESPN on NFL showing the Willie Harvey pick 6. Love to see that. Pain. I mean, hey, St. Louis is still in this one. It's still a 1-touchdown game. Yeah. I mean, not even just that touchdown. That drive as a whole, there was a couple of times they should have made some stops, especially on that play where they should have tackled him behind the line of scrimmage and instead let him get like 8 yards. That was really rough. Tackling for the Battlehawks right now has not been great this drive. Yeah, that last drive was some horrid tackling. That's 100% true. Good tackling, that drive gets stopped way early. As instead of getting that 2nd and 2 heading into the fourth quarter, it's now like a 2nd and 12. It's a big difference. So definitely a huge blow for them. The NBA playoffs. Can't wait to not watch those games. Yeah, man, St. Louis somehow still in it. Again, 1-score games, you're always in it, but man, they still have not had a really great offensive drive at all. Let me pull this up, actually. Drives. Drive ended. That's not even good. That's not what it's supposed to be. Let's see. The best drive they've had, they got one time where they ended a drive in the red zone, and they still had to kick a field goal. Outside of that, they've gotten to the 30s twice in Arlington territory. It's just been really rough. This has been a really awful showing offensively for St. Louis, all things considered. Looking at that. Only one time you've really gotten into the red zone. That's not what you want to see. Yet you're still in it because you had a great pick 6, and your kicker is incredible. So you're still in this game. Your defense, even though last drive played poorly, overall they've been playing really solid today. They've been able to stop the run until this past drive. So we'll end up seeing what they do on offense. Again, they need to do something here. Aaron Dolan, bro. Didn't know they were live. That's wild. Aaron Dolan, bro. As we all know, we have the quit yapping gif, bro. We do not need to hear this every single time somebody scores a touchdown. The kick is up. The Battlehawks going to get the ball at the 5, up to the 10, on the 15, the 20, the 25. Makes a move that's 30. Ooh, if he had broken that guy, he would have gone for another 10 yards. But in the end, it's up to about the 30-yard line. There is a penalty, though. Let's see what this penalty is. Looks like it might be on the kicking team. Nope. Holding on the receiving team, they're going to lose 10 yards in that one. Big, big mistake by St. Louis again. Stop, Steven. This game, man, it's been something else. The fact that St. Louis is still in this game is mind-boggling. They really shouldn't be, but they're still in it because of Willie Harvey's incredible pick 6 and Hot Rod making all those kicks. Let's see if this offense can do something, though. Perez, even if he doesn't have the highest amount of T's, picks, or yards, you know he's going to have a really solid completion percentage, which he's doing again right now. Basically like around a 75 completion percentage. Really, really solid number. He just always does that. Duggan is in shotgun. One man to his left in the backfield with him. Ball is snapped. Handed off to Sailors, who runs up the middle and gets a solid 5.5 yards on the carry right there. Great first down play by the Battlehawks. Little slow to get up, but still got up. So not the, little slow, but still got up. Second and 5 for the Battlehawks. Sailors is once again to his left in the backfield. 2 receivers out to the left, 2 to the right. Let's see if they can get a first down here. Ball is snapped. Fake the handoff. Looks for the quick throw to Pearson, but doesn't throw it. Needs to throw this ball away, and he takes another sack. Congratulations, Duggan. You still cannot throw the ball away. You are Alex Magoo from week 1. Terrible play by Duggan. Once again, that is on Duggan above anyone else. He just held onto the ball way too long. Never made a real choice. Just awful. Yeah, they just showed that replay. The replay made it look even worse. He had a couple of guys who could have thrown that to. Now they're back to where they originally were at 3rd and 10. Duggan is in shotgun with 1 man in the backfield with him to his left. 2 receivers to his right, 2 to his left. He has to get a first down here. Motioning Sailors to the left. It's a QB draw. He's going to run it, and he gets tackled. Oh, he's still on his feet. And he gets tackled for about a 1.5 yard gain. Really, that's a bad play call right there, doing a QB draw like that. Just awful drive for the Battlehawks once again. You made a great Sailors run and first down mean essentially nothing. Just bad. Now they're going to have to punt this ball again. Maybe we see a fake punt. We really haven't seen a fake punt like at all this season, I don't believe. So maybe we see one here because they need to do something. But let's see. 4th and 9. They are punting it. Maybe it's a fake, but I doubt it. And it is a punt. It is a okay punt. It's going to be fair caught at about the 38-yard line in St. Louis territory. Or in Arlington territory, I should say. My apologies. Listening to some all access from Anthony Beck. Attendance is come out. The attendance of this game is going to be 9,500 or 9,600. Again, solid number. Better than week 2, despite it being Easter weekend. You do love to see that. Oh. I don't know what I just clicked. I didn't mean to click it. First down rush is about a 2.5 yard gain. Again, Arlington's still having solid attendance. That's a solid number to see. Again, week 2, they ended up having 9582. This is a slightly better one, despite it being Easter weekend, as well as a lot of other stuff going on. So really solid number for them again. Again, overall, attendance is still pretty solid. Looks like the Battlehawks defense is going to help us win. They're going to have another pick 6 here. 2nd and 7. Pass is thrown, going to be caught, but is tackled immediately for about a 3 yard gain, going to be about 3rd and 4. Yeah, solid attendance for the game once again. Love to see that. Third and 3 for the Renegades. Perez looks over the middle of the field, having a step with the pocket. He's going to run for the first down, and he runs for the first down and gets it, and gets to about the 45-yard line. Perez just ran for a first down on 3rd down. Love to see that from Luis Perez, the guy that everybody jokes is the most immobile quarterback in the league. Saw the open field and ran for it. Could argue that might be holding, but I don't know if they're going to challenge that one. The GOAT of spring football, yes sir. Perez is in shotgun with 1 man in the backfield with him to his right, 2 receivers to his right, and then 1 tight end to his right as well. I saw under the highlight for the shows fans game shows. Yeah, I'm not surprised to see that. Pass thrown to the right. It is going to be immediately tackled for about a 2 yard loss. Great play by the Battlehawks defense. Yeah, I mean everybody kind of feels like Memphis just hurts on like everything when it comes to like ratings, attendance. It just feels like it just always hurts. So I'm not shocked. Perez is in shotgun. They're going to call it about a 1 yard loss with 2nd and 11 here. 9 minutes left in the game. Ball is snapped. Looks over the middle of the field, throws it to his left. It's going to be incomplete. That could have been an incredible catch by Tyler Vaughns, but instead it's an incomplete pass. 3rd and 11. They need to stop them here, that's for sure. Manny Wilkins on the very first drive. We don't know it's confirmed. Like, it's not confirmed, but we all kind of agree that he probably tore his Achilles or ruptured his Achilles on the very first drive of the game. He was doing a quarterback draw, and you know how you normally drop back and then you step up to run? When he stepped up, he just fell immediately, and it looked like he probably ruptured his Achilles. So he's more than likely done for the year. Perez is in shotgun here. Ball is snapped, drops back to throw. Looks over the middle of the field. He's going to roll out to his right. He's still running. And he doesn't throw it away. That's a very rare Perez mistake right there. Going to be about a 10-yard loss to force the punt for the Renegades. Yeah, it was bad. When you saw it initially, he just kind of, it looked initially like he may have tripped. Then you saw the replay, he never got touched. He just fell down with it. It was rough to watch. It definitely hurt to watch, that's for sure. And then, of course, on that same play, Wilkins fumbled the ball while falling down, and then Odom picked it up and scored. That's how the Renegades scored their first touchdown of the game, was off that fumble. Return is up to the 20. The 25, it gets tackled at the 25, so it's going to be starting at the 25 for the Battlehawks. And the St. Louis offense basically has had like one mediocre drive that got to the red zone, and they got stuffed there and had to kick a field goal. The offense for the Battlehawks has been rough this game, but Willie Harvey Jr. had that pick six, which gave him a touchdown and made this game a close one. Then Arlington scored, and now it's a 7-point game. Just tuning in, let's go Renegades. And maybe they can hold on to this one. Again, St. Louis's offense has just not done really anything to see. In 3 words or less, for the Battlehawks, that offense sucks. For the Renegades, run game trash. That's the best way to view it. Or quarterback or QBs suck is the better. Or quarterbacks are bad. For the Battlehawks is better. Max Duggan has not looked great this game at all. The run game for the Renegades, like, yes, their last drive they had a couple good plays, but as a whole, their ground game for the Renegades has been abysmal this game. It's the biggest reason why this game is still close. St. Louis, man, they have a better quarterback. They're probably winning this game because Sailors is still doing Jacob Sailors things, but kind of is what it is at this point. Yeah, attendance for this game actually pretty respectable. It basically is like about 40 people higher than their last home game, despite it being Easter weekend, which you do love to see. So still doing solid in that area. I mean, pulling up the stats while we're in commercial break right now. Duggan's stats are 7 of 13 for 58 yards and 1 interception. That was a bad interception. Sailors, his stats really don't show. Yes, this is one of the rare times where his stats don't really show it. Sailors is 14 carries for 40 yards for a 2.9 average. That's really bad, but overall he's been still, like, this is the best running back performance you've pretty much seen from anyone this week. So, well, let me say that. This is normal. Like, he's playing well. It's just the team around him ain't doing anything. They can really do so much. It's just sad. You know, at this point, I'd be gutsy and go for 2. They should get a TD. Yeah, I think they need to go for 2 because it's to the point where it's hard to view it as they can score. If they score a touchdown, it's hard to view them as being able to score again. So might as well go for 2 to, you know, get the lead. Because you just tried to go for 1 and it failed. And yes, I know you probably get it next time. But you'd have to rely on going to, you know, OT. If you score, I would go for 2 for sure. Get the lead. And then, yeah, either play to get another field goal or something like that. Showing some wrapping around Max Duggan's left hand right now, or left wrist, I should say. Having to have your quarterback a little bit banged up on like one of your last couple of drives ain't looking too good, but let's see. If this was Memphis would end up having like a drive that would eat up all the clock and they would score a touchdown, go for 2 and not get it. I'm sorry, G-Man, if you're in the chat, but that is what Memphis would do here. St. Louis, they're probably going to waste 2 minutes and not score, but hopefully they do make this an interesting game. Let's see. Duggan snaps the ball, fakes the handoff, does a little bit of a pitch play to the back. And he ends up getting about 4 yards on the carry right there. Solid play for the Battlehawks in first down. Again, the issue is they've been really solid on first down. Then second down, Duggan will make a key mistake, make him lose yardage. Duggan cannot take a sack here. For some reason, he wants to get sacked every other play on second down. He needs to realize that taking sacks is bad in football. So he needs to throw the ball away or just run up. So let's see what he does here. 2nd and 7 for the Battlehawks. Duggan is in shotgun, one man behind him in the backfield. 2 receivers to his left and 2 to his right. Motions Pearson from the left to the right. Ball is snapped. They hand it off, and they get about 2 yards on the carry. It's going to be about 3rd and 5 here. Need a first down here. You can't just keep relying on your defense getting stops. You need to actually do something on offense. They need to get a first down here. Two receivers to the right, motioning one from the left to the right. So now 3 receivers to the right, 1 to the left, running back on the left with him in the backfield. Ball is snapped. Duggan drops back to throw. They're throwing a lot of pressure at him. Throws to the right, and it gets batted, and it is going to be incomplete. 4th and 5. Just not great for St. Louis there. Let's see this replay. Even then, I don't think that was even the right throw. He would have had to throw it like perfectly for that to even be a decent throw there. No, Hakeem Butler still has not played. He has not played since week 1. He is still out inactive right now. I will say, I hate to say it like this, Adrian, but it's hard to call it a collapse when they've never been good in this game. If you count the season, then sadly true. It ain't looking good for him. Punt is up to the 15. Return is up to the 20. The 25, the 30, breaks a couple tackles. The 35, big return for Arlington. Yeah, losing Cordero to injury before he even plays hurts even more. You now have Trey Self as your back, because you're going to have to get another quarterback now, so you're going to end up getting your 5th quarterback on the year. Ain't looking too good. That's sadly the truth. Ain't looking too good. Hopefully, for St. Louis, they can get another pick 6 here. That would be huge for them. But again, if you're Arlington, just try and run this ball. Eat it. Well, you can still pass before 2 minutes, but try and eat up this clock as much as you can. Let's see. 35-yard line. Perez is in shotgun. 1 man to his left in the backfield with him. 3 receivers to his left, 1 to his right. Motioning one of the receivers from the left to the right. Ball is snapped. Handed off to Dede Hunter, who gets stopped immediately for about a half-yard gain. Again, another instance of the Renegades ground game not doing anything. Call up AJ McCarron. Yeah, I love how, like I've always said it, I love how insane it is, how it's just every 2 weeks the AJ McCarron narrative. After the first 2 weeks, it's, oh, it's so great we don't have AJ, and now it's like, oh, we need AJ back. That's all I've said is, it wasn't AJ's fault your offense wasn't great last year. You had a bad OC. You got a better OC now, and your quarterback plays worse, now you're struggling. Come on, defense, I just got off work. This game has been insane, Preston. I mean, it's been wild. The fact that St. Louis is in it is a testament to how bad the Arlington ground game is and their penalties. Press throws it over the middle. Could have been intercepted, but is an incomplete pass. Again, in case you haven't seen what's happened, Manny Wilkins is presumably out for the season with a torn Achilles. Again, not confirmed either part, but looks like it. They only have scored 1 touchdown. That's a pick 6 by Willie Harvey Jr. Max Duggan has not looked good whatsoever. Sailors is still Jacob Sailors. The Renegades got a lucky touchdown off that said injury by Manny Wilkins, so yeah. Perez is 3rd and 7, drops back to throw, looks over the middle of the field. He's getting pass rush, and he gets sacked. Huge sack for the Battlehawks defense right there, forcing a 4th down punt right there. No bad penalties this time. Great play by them. Chavin Cordero is already on IR. I don't know if you didn't see that one, but he got put on IR like a week and a half ago. So he's out for at least another 3.5 games. So your backup right now is Trey Self. Kind of sucks because the Battlehawks have by far the biggest fan base in the league. Yeah, it does for that reason. It definitely hurts for that, but it's one of those things where it's in terms of football, sometimes teams like to kind of overthink things, and the Battlehawks definitely did that. They overthought the issue was McCarron. Not really. Return to the 25, the 30, the 35, the 40, the 45. Huge return for the Battlehawks right there. They're already relatively close to field goal range, though obviously they need to score a touchdown. Trey Self is right now your other quarterback. You're going to have to sign another quarterback after this game, so yeah. Instead of seeing the offense, true, bro. The defense has been great, but the offense, not so much. Again, under 4 minutes, or literally 4 minutes left in the game. This might be St. Louis's last shot. They could have a second one, but this might be their last real shot at a touchdown drive. They need to score it here. They got a huge return. They need a touchdown on this drive. Duggan is under center, one man behind him in the backfield, motioning Pearson from the right to the left. Ball is snapped. They fake the handoff. Duggan rolls to the right. He's rolling up. He throws it. It is a complete pass, one of the better throws of the day for him, up to about the 33-yard line or the 34-yard line in Arlington territory. Huge play for the Battlehawks there. Again, for those of you who are joining recently, Arlington is out of challenges. So they have no challenges left. St. Louis has one challenge left. Both teams do have all 3 timeouts remaining. And again, St. Louis needs to score and then either decide to go for 1 for the tie or 2 for the win. They did try to go for 1 earlier to tie the game up, and they failed that one, which is why they're now down by 7 still. 1st and 10, Duggan is in shotgun. Ball is snapped. Pitch it back to Sailors, who runs to the right. He ends up getting about 4 yards on the ground. What looked like could have been a 2-yard loss ends up being a 4-yard gain. Sailors doing some great Sailors stuff right there. I love to see that. Going to be under 3 minutes left when this play happens. Again, this battle of timeout usage is going to be very interesting to see how both teams use their timeouts here. Because I wouldn't be shocked if Arlington starts calling them soon. Wouldn't be shocked if St. Louis tries to hold them all, but we'll see. 2nd and 7 now for the Battlehawks. Duggan is in shotgun, moving up to call an audible, moving Sailors to the left side of the field. 2 receivers to his left, 2 to his right. Ball is snapped. Hands it off to Sailors again, who runs up to the right and gets a solid 6-ish yard carry. Great carry by Jacob Sailors. Going to be about 3rd and 1. They might call it 3rd and 2, though. If it's 3rd and 2, it's a very short 3rd and 2. Again, you are in 4-down territory here as long as you don't lose yardage here. There seems like there might be a timeout here. Sailors, yeah, Sailors been doing really solid. I mean, his stats don't show, but he's been actually really solid this game, all things considered. So, again, 3rd and 1. It was an Arlington timeout. I do like that from Arlington's perspective. That is a good timeout there. Again, you need to try and make this where you could get the ball back, obviously. So, great decision right there by Arlington to call a timeout there. Manny Wilkins, man. What a QB room for the Battlehawks. Again, this is another instance. If Arlington loses this game, man, that's going to hurt. Because this is just like last week. This, in theory, was a free win for Arlington with how this game has gone. If Arlington loses this game, that looks worse for Arlington than it does good for St. Louis. Just like last week, it looked worse for Arlington than good for Birmingham. Same thing, but with a different team. Arlington cannot afford to lose this game, though they look like they might. 3rd and 1 for the Battlehawks. Lining up with just Duggan in the backfield. It is a direct QB run, and he gets the 1st down up to the 20 and gets tackled for about the 16-yard line. Huge play by Duggan right there for there. Yeah, this is looking like the best drive for the Battlehawks so far. They're probably going to run this clock down to the 2-minute warning. Again, this might come down just like the Memphis game last week. This might come down to the extra point. Whether they go for 2, go for 1, go for the tie, go for the win. They do call a play before the 2-minute warning. Very questionable call, but they end up getting about 7 yards. In some ways, I do actually like that because normally you expect them to run to the 2-minute warning to try to get them offsides, get a play that kind of catches them, off guard, kind of like what you did just there. I do actually like that call when you consider that. So again, Arlington is down to 2 timeouts, no more 2-minute warning, 1:53 left. St. Louis is still close to the end zone, but they have to go for either 2 to win the game or 1 to tie it if they get the touchdown. No, I do like that call. For time management perspective, that is the incorrect call. But because you're catching them off guard, that run done after the 2-minute warning probably would have been like a 2-yard gain. Instead, you kind of catch them off guard and you get about 7 yards. Again, I know you just joined recently. St. Louis had a very similar drive like this earlier, and they choked it because they couldn't gain yards, and they ended up losing yards. So getting to the end zone is what matters more. Yes, you don't want Arlington to have enough time to kick a field goal, but it doesn't matter if you don't score, so I'm actually fine with that call by St. Louis. I think that was a solid play by there. Yeah, I agree with what Steven said. If Arlington loses this game, you know I said earlier that St. Louis drops to like 5 or 6 in the power rankings? Arlington might drop to 7, depending on if San Antonio wins. Because if Arlington loses this game, that's back-to-back weeks. That was a free win that they just didn't get. So, yeah. But if St. Louis pulls this one off, man, hey, credit to them, but it would be insane. I hope they do. 'Tis fair. Yeah. I mean, normally you just wait the 2-minute warning, but it's what you say. Normally you wait for 2 minutes. Think about when a backup quarterback comes in, right? If Arlington loses this game and San Antonio beats DC, Arlington's probably dropping to number 7. Because that would be 2 back-to-back losses that were free wins that they just couldn't get. Not saying it will happen. Again, it depends. If Houston and San Antonio both win, and Arlington loses this game, they drop to 7. Just saying. And I find it hard to not argue that, in my opinion. Because if San Antonio beats DC, they got to move up more than one spot. And that more than one spot is to them. So, yeah. But, yeah. Arlington should have really be 4 now. I mean, dude, Arlington, it's just not going great for them right now, that's for sure. Listening on the road while excellent play-by-play. Thank you. Again, this game, man, it's a wild one. Like, this is an insane game to see be this close and to see St. Louis potentially pulling it off and to see Arlington again. Remember, Arlington had a free 8-point standing to him. For those of you who either joined the stream late, didn't see the beginning of the game, 8 points Arlington did not earn. 8 points they got from a fumble by Manny Wilkins. Again, we don't know for sure, but what we believe is him tearing his Achilles led to an Arlington touchdown on that same play. So, if Arlington loses this game after getting an 8-point freebie, that's rough. Helping a Brahma fan dream. Hey, I hope they win, and I do think they pull off the upset. I think the Ty Scott injury hurts too much for DC. I think San Antonio ends up pulling off the upset tomorrow. And it would be great for the league to see San Antonio pull off the upset, make the XFL conference much closer. But, hey, we'll see. Again, Houston, I wouldn't be shocked if Houston pulls off the upset tonight either. I don't think they will, but I just wouldn't be shocked. The only one I would have been shocked at is Memphis beating Michigan. That's the only one I would have actually been shocked at. The other 2 upsets, I wouldn't be shocked at, and I actually think one of them happens. And St. Louis is just past the 10-yard line, so they're a little at the 11. 2nd and 4, they got to score a touchdown with under 2 minutes left. Duggan is in shotgun. 2 receivers to the right, 2 to the left. 1 running back with him in the backfield. Ball is snapped. They hand it off to Sailors, who runs up the middle, who gets tackled just shy of the first down. That might be a silver lining. It might be able to silver lining because they might be able to take off some more clock. Again, I would not call a timeout if you're St. Louis. If you're Arlington, I would think about it. But, if they get a first down, then you got to start using them. So I'm not fully against them at this point, but we'll see. Going to be about 3rd and 1 for St. Louis. This is obvious 4-down territory. Lining up in shotgun again. Sailors in the backfield with Duggan. 1 receiver to his left, 3 to his right. Got to get a first down here. Ball is snapped. They hand it off to Sailors. And Sailors does what Jacob Sailors does. And he gets a first down on the play. Going to be about the 5-yard line. Going to be 1st and goal at about the 5-yard line. Huge play for St. Louis right there. Again, the box score is not going to show it. But Jacob Sailors has been the best player on offense for St. Louis this game. He has been incredible, all things considered, even though it's not going to show in the box score. 1st and goal, remember, we need to see what they do on the extra point. Dude, if they had Sailors jersey, that would be cool. I really hope they get it at some point. 1st and goal, let's see what they do here. Again, 2 timeouts left for Arlington. Arlington will not be able to stop this clock fully to the degree that they want it to. They just called one of them. So, Big blow there. They just had to use one of their timeouts. So it's going to be one timeout left, Arlington. So if the Battlehawks play this right, they could score with 0 seconds left and go for the extra point to try and win it or tie it. But it's more important to get the touchdown. Yes, you want to play clock management, but you have to score the touchdown first and foremost. Because God forbid you miss the extra point, you have to do the 4th and 12, need time. They run it with Sailors, who gets about 1.5 yards on the play. Again, I would milk this clock a bit, but not too much. You always have to have something in your back pocket. You need that plan B. Your plan B has to be enough time to go get a field goal going for a 4th and 12 if you miss the extra point. So you have to have that in your back pocket. I like this. Milk about 10 seconds, then call a play. I like this right here. Duggan is by himself in the backfield. Ball is snapped. It's a direct run. He runs to the right. He does a hurdle, and he gets tackled for maybe a 1-yard gain. That was an insane play to look at right there. And they're calling him down in bounds. That is definitely a shocker there. Never mind. No, that was clearly inbounds. I agree. Very questionable play call right there. Especially because now it doesn't look... They better have called a timeout there. They did. So again, I agree. Questionable play call right there. 3rd and goal. They have 2 plays. They got to average about 2.5 yards on each of these plays to get in the end zone. Let's see what they do here. Again, this is big. Remember, all things considered, you got to score a touchdown first and foremost. Number 2, you either go for 1 to tie this game or go for 2 to try and win this game. If you fail either of them, you have to do the 4th and 12, then get into field goal range. Hot Rod will give you a 55-yard attempt. He can kick that, so you don't have to gain too many yards, but you have to have enough time left to do that. That's why you have to milk this clock, but not too much, because, again, you have to play it safe when it comes to what could happen if you miss the extra point. Oh, yeah, that hurdle by Max was insane that he tried that. Yeah, I would rather go for 2 than 1 as well, try to win the game, because it's going to be hard to try and beat Arlington in the OT, but we'll see. Ball is snapped. Duggan drops back to throw. He's going to throw it over the middle. It gets tipped, and it's going to be incomplete. That should have been a catch, and instead it's an incompletion. Duggan actually threw it well, and it's going to be incomplete. Bad drop. This is almost all the marbles here. It's 4th down now for the Battlehawks. Let's see this replay. Ooh, maybe it was tipped. That's not a best view. Again, 4th and goal here. They could challenge something. It looks like that they're talking about that there's something they could challenge, but they're not going to do it right here. Ball is snapped. Duggan drops back to throw. Quick throw. It is going to be intercepted by the Renegades. Up to the 20, the 25, the 30, the 40, the 50, the 40, the 30, the 25, the 20, the 10, 5. Pick 6. Arlington wins over St. Louis. Wow. That's insane. I would assume if you're back, you're going to try and find some random thing to challenge just because you have nothing else you can do. Right now, I would be trying to think of anything that could potentially work and just throw the flag. That's rough. You know, I will say this. Your best player all day on offense has been Jacob Sailors. Your last 2 plays, when you're less than 4 yards from the end zone, you never handed it off to him. Last 3 plays. Change that. That's bad play calling. That's rough. 3 straight play calls where you don't run it with Sailors is insane. Yep, here it is. Is what I'm not shocked at. Challenge by Anthony Beck. It doesn't matter if it works or not. This is the correct decision. It is an ultimate Hail Mary. If this challenge works, you look like a genius. You get another chance or a couple other chances. So let's see. If he gets this, it's another massive break and another great challenge. Let's see. Showing a lot of camera angles, but not showing the thing that we can see. Let's see. Doesn't look like this is going to work. Yeah, that was definitely not good, yeah. It was worth it for the attempt, but didn't work. St. Louis, that is a rough one to lose. Because that is a loss. There's no way they're going to win this one, obviously. That's... it's bad. Rough one right there. And because of the pick 6, it hits the over, so my pick was wrong. I got 0 for 3 on this one, man. Hate to see it. Is what it is. Two of 6. Over the Battlehawks. I would say that's... Oh, it's just rough. Crazy game, I agree. Ever again. I mean, it's rough to look at this and be like, this is bad. This is a bad game for St. Louis. Have to do it their own. Okay. Like, this is really rough for St. Louis. Like, for you St. Louis fans, I feel for you guys, because you guys are basically screwed at this point. Because Cordero's not coming back for a minimum of like 3 more weeks. Barring a miracle, Manny's gone for the season. Duggan looked rough today. And even the worst part is it's also on coaching. Your last 3 plays were all plays that didn't involve your best player. Jacob Sailors had been playing great today. His stats may not have shown it, but he was playing great. And you did 3 straight plays where you didn't even use him once? Poor play calling. St. Louis, man, like, I've seen people complain about the Panthers not having a good, good wins. St. Louis, their 2 wins were against the Roughnecks in week 1 and then the Brahmas in week 2. So it's not like they have good wins, so it's rough, man. That's rough. Sup, Galaxy. This is bad for St. Louis. This is really bad for them. Rough game. Call the UFL, just put a team in Louisville so I can jump ship, bruh. I mean, the one silver lining is 15-30. That is close. I will say the one silver lining is that you are still technically only like a win behind. Now, you also, tiebreaker, you're screwed, but you're only a win behind in terms of overall wins behind Arlington. But, yeah, it ain't good. St. Louis, yikes. Big yikes. Max Duggan ain't looked like he's that guy. I mean, we'll see, but power rankings, this team's falling. And I think we all kind of agree. I gave them the benefit of the doubt, and I thought they were going to win this game. Not only did they not win this game, they looked rough in it. That was bad. 30-15 is the final score. St. Louis's season, it's not over. Again, people are going to say it's fully over. It's not fully over. It's still only week 4. There's still only 1 game behind, a game and a half behind Arlington. But quarterback-wise, very sketchy. Maybe they sign some big quarterback or make a trade. We'll see. But, yeah. You got 2 losses and 6 more games to win. We're good. Yeah, I mean, you still got time. People are going to act like the floor is gone. The ceiling has fallen. They're still in it. They're still in it. Now, it's going to be rough for the quarterback play, but they're still in it. Oh, A.J. McCarron, your only hope. Yeah, I agree. What Beck says is going to be interesting because, like, it's one of those things where it's like your quarterback play wasn't good. Like, no matter what Beck says, the quarterback play was not good in this game. So, if he tries to act like the quarterback play was good and that's not why they lost, like, he needs to address why they didn't use sailors in the last 3 plays of the game. That's first and foremost. That's just an insane decision to not do that, but that, we'll see. No offensive touchdown. That's a good point. They couldn't even score an offensive touchdown. Their only touchdown was a pick 6, and their field goals was just, with their home and the crowd they've got homies, it'll be... Yeah, especially because they get the extra home game. Remember, they still have the extra home game with San Antonio's, loss of theirs. So they have that going for them as well. They have a lot of things that end up benefiting them that they kind of get a lucky break on. But as for heading into next week, this was a rough one. Again, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Again, like the stream if you haven't already and you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel. Think about becoming a community member for 99 cents a month. Again, I just had my video come out a couple days ago for community members about my predictions for the NBA and NHL playoffs. Again, next Friday we'll be streaming a game, and pending on the Roughnecks, if the Roughnecks lose, I will be streaming the Roughnecks Brahmas Tank Bowl next week. If not, I'll have a vote on it. So be looking for that. Hey, if the Roughnecks lose, we will be doing the Brahmas Roughnecks Tank Bowl next week. If the Roughnecks win, we'll have a vote and see who wins the vote by the community heroes. So be looking for all that. And as always, guys, have a great